Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you are across the world. We are here to go through that Graham Potter the debate show, and I think it's well needed. To be honest, I think it's well needed on the basis of the fact of how the current fans are feeling right now. When you look at some that are already Potter out and their decisions to feel that way, on others that are defending Potter, there are people that feel maybe he needs a bit more time, for example, etc. We are going to be discussing all of that. We are going to have a panel joining us today as well, which in the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to get into that as well. Over 150 of you guys here already. Welcome to every single one of you guys that are currently here at the moment. Hit the like button, subscribe as well. We've got a little bit of transfer news that just popped up from Fabrizio Romano as well in relations to Chelsea as well, which we're going to discuss on in a second. But before we move forward, guys, you know what time it is. Let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for this debate show. Yes, it is the Graham Potter, mainly the Graham Potter debate show. Obviously, we said we'll talk about the owners as well because the owners are linked to this discussion. But we're going to just talk about the overall feeling around the fan base. And I think it's worth talking on, especially in the last couple of days specifically. I've been in a lot of groups, different groups across Twitter, across WhatsApp, that are sort of in between, shall I say. You've got some that feel Potter's not good enough, Potter ain't doing enough. We spent 600 million, he's not getting the football going as well. On the flip side of it, you've got people defending it and saying that he needs more time, that, you know, he's going to be here for another season and, you know, just give him time basically to try and do what he needs to do. But there is questions and there is right answers on both sides of the Richter scale here. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to discuss Graham Potter overall, where we stand. I'm going to share my thoughts and opinions on where I feel when it comes to Graham Potter. We've got a couple of things to go through as well, which I'm going to share with you guys in a second. In about 10 minutes' time, we've got some of the panel joining. They're going to join us, give us their thoughts on Graham Potter. Yeah, their thoughts on Graham Potter and their feelings as of where we stand as we are at the moment. A lot of people are still holding high expectations in regards to our football club. I agree. I think there's something that is fine to do. However, I think at the same time, I think it's about us all understanding specifically where we also are at as a football club as well, and where we've come from in many ways as well. So lots to get into. Hit the likes. Over 250 people here in the chat already. I'm assuming some of you guys have come from Lewis. So big up to Lewis as well for passing on everyone that is in the chat as well. I hope you guys are all good. But do me a favor right now. Hit the likes. Come on, guys. You know you want to smash them likes. Smash the likes. Get them up. Let's get over 100 likes on both channels if we can, please, on this. Morning. I was going to say morning to Zombie, but yeah, hi, Zombie. Big up to Proud to be Geordie. Proper Chelsea. Ashraf's in the building. Joey's in the house. Vic is back in the house. RD is in the house. Potter in is what Lom's saying. Potter in all day is what Pez Lord is saying as well. Go I Am says tapped Lasso out. Go I Am is in the building. Big up to him. Be interesting to see some of your comments, and we're going to be keeping an eye on your comments in the chat as well and bringing them up as we go through today's show as well. Big up to Jacob in the house, Lance as well. The only thing high about Chelsea is Graham Potterhead blood. Oh, God, Lance. Big up to you, man. Big up to Steve in the house as well. Yeah, big up to all of the fans that have travelled out to Dortmund as well. I was going to be one of them if I wasn't obviously going away next week, but I am. So, yeah, you know, it's all good. It's all good. Big up to Gavman as well. Potter must go, as Alarosi's saying. See what I mean already? Everyone in the chat is already sharing that mixed view, their mixed points. You know, it's not very all one way or the other. It feels like it's in the balance at the moment. And this is why it's worth discussing and breaking down. People defending him, not realising what he said about tomorrow's game. Well, we're going to talk about this stuff as well, because I think we get very sucked in with this kind of things as well. We got to Texas as well. We are Arsenal to own. Don't let the spending fool you. 500 million was what Roma required to purchase. Yeah, but again, it is context, guys. You know, and I am definitely not a Potter in or a Potter out. I'm a Potter not sure. Let's talk. Let's have a debate. Big up to Mads as well. Proper Chels. Big up to Fator as well, who says Guten Tag. Jem, you're a simp. You're the simp, mate, and you know why you're the simp in Dortmund with a certain individual, mate, as we already like to say. Big up to Attilo as well. Nice to see you. Anto's in the house as well. Undertaker CFC, Lewis Quinn. Who else we got here? Ahmed TV. His decision making is crazy. Something we can definitely discuss on. There's a lot of you in the building. How many have we got on Chelsea Fan TV at the moment? So let's have a quick look as well. So we have got. We've got 41 likes, guys. Over 250 people on Chelsea Fan TV at the moment. Come on, guys, we can easily get this a lot higher. So please do that. On GNA TV, we've only got 25 likes, and there's only 40 of you there. So come on, guys, smash the like, subscribe. The Dortmund preview is. Someone asked me about Dortmund preview just now. I just see the comment. The Dortmund preview will be tomorrow. So we'll be talking about Graham Potter, the lineup, the team news, the setup. We're opening the Lions and get you guys in. UEFA Champions League is back. Chelsea in the Champions League. Interesting. Dortmund in a little bit of form as well. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Big up to AJ as well. Yeah, man. Big up to you. All right, let's get into things because I want to get the panel in as well. And I just want to quickly jump on some quick news in regards to Chelsea Football Club. Now, Chelsea are in the race with Man United and Bayer Leverkusen to sign let me say this right. Kendry Paes. Kendry Paes. 2007 born in Ecuadorian talent. Apparently, he's highly rated midfielder, and the decision will be made very soon. If you guys want to check out this young lad on here, his YouTube link is there. Go and check him out. I don't know anything about this, but all I know is that it probably screams Chelsea just because of the fact that he's young, he's supposedly talented, and it seems like other clubs want him, and Chelsea are probably in the sniff. Now, it gets to a point where how are we going to keep continuing buying all these young players, man? Why are we like we're going to have 800 million and with 400 million of it, or 300 or 200 million of it being on young players at one point at this rate? I know we're spending a lot of money on some of the new players that have come into the team, which we need, but we are heavily invested in the young squad, and that goes to say again what I keep telling you guys, that this squad is being built for the future. It's not always about the now. We know the now is important because we need results and we're not obviously in great positions, but progression is what is about now, progression moving forward. And then the young lads that we are then buying in and spending all this money on are the future. Incentives on their contracts, can they get into the team, etc., etc. We've had these discussions before. It's going to be very interesting to see. Big up to Bobby in the house. You're not late, mate. You're not late. Big up to you. Graham says, I swear Burley has Peter. Fucking hell. Go ahead, man. I can't even read your comments half the time. Bid turned down 50 million crazy for a 15-year-old man is what I'm saying. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money on a very young boy. Very young boy. It's being built to make profit into next to 2-3. Yeah, it goes both ways, Shano. It's not just about making profit on these. Yeah, they are investments. You're right. The investment being that if they do break into the team, if they do manage to hold their positions at Chelsea, then it solves a problem for us, right? And it's on top of that, if you spend 15, 20 million on a player that's now worth 70 million or 80 million, you're profiting 100%. Big profits, That's where we can make profits on. But also on the flip side of it, if we don't get them in the team, if they're not good enough to make the core 11 of Chelsea or even the bench, then there's always an opportunity to sell them on to another Premier League team, another European team. And from that, based on how they've performed wherever they're being loaned on, which is why I think Chelsea are looking at buying a football club. Bowley and Egbali are looking to buy maybe a French club where it's a competitive nature, competitive league. They will then give these guys they will give these guys the chance to play there against some of the best in the world that are sitting over there and progress as a player. If they don't progress, then it makes it a little bit harder for us, doesn't it? Because then we can't sell certain individuals and whatever else. Big up to Thomas. This is Appreciate the Channel. Nice break from the crazy. Where have you been? If you've been over at Lewis's channel. Well, it's quiet at the moment. All I'm going to say is that it's probably going to get a lot more noisier in about 10 minutes time because we have got a panel coming in. A panel that will be discussing Graham Potter, thoughts and opinions. You guys in the chat can heavily get involved as well. But let's get into Graham Potter because today's show isn't about transfer news. It's about Graham Potter and where we currently are at Chelsea, and why are the Chelsea fan base so heavily annoyed with the fact that he ain't doing well? And on the flip side, why are some of the fans okay with it? And this is what we're going to discuss and get into. We're going to share thoughts. We're going to break down opinions, questions, and I'm going to give my thoughts as well. We got this comment from David Ornstein a couple of days ago, and this is where it sort of triggered off, and everyone started sort of jumping on this whole Potter thing. I know some people have felt it for a little bit, but it seems to have just got a lot more heated in the last couple of days, especially across social media, I've felt. Ornstein confirmed that the feeling within the Chelsea hierarchy is that Potter should be judged in years, not months, and that they are confident that they have one of the best managers in the game, right? Now, that's all good and well, don't get me wrong. And that, again, goes back to the whole thing of longevity, giving a coach the opportunity. As Chelsea fans, we haven't really given managers the opportunity to maybe go through the bad patches and come out the other side and try and move forward and progress, right? Yes, we're in a bad patch at the moment. Yes, it's not great at the moment. 100%. We're not seeing Potter ball. Something I told you guys all season, we will struggle to see this season. Now, in between all of this, we are spending money. We have spent 300 odd million in the January market. Yeah, we spent another 200 to 300 million in the summer. All right, but even rewinding back to the summer, guys, when we did spend that kind of money, we were never really a complete team, and there were so many gaping holes in our squad that it wasn't just one position. We knew that we had to sort the forward line. We knew we had to sort out the midfield. We know we need right backs. We know we needed left back. We knew we needed centre backs, right? And we covered parts of it. We got Koulibaly, we got Cucurella, we got Sterling. We spent a lot of money on youth because that's the project idea in terms of what they want to do, right? And he took on. He started. He had sort of the same winning results and draw results as what Thomas Tuchel did for up to a certain point. Champions League, he got us from 4th up to 1st, which was probably his best period in my opinion so far. And then we started getting slack with injuries, but it wasn't just 1 or 2. It ended up being 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it really tested the squad depth, right? On top of that, you got players like Koulibaly coming across and starting and playing, which you expect more from an experienced player to be better, which he hasn't been, in my opinion, hasn't been absolutely atrocious. I just don't think he's been to the level that maybe a lot of Chelsea fans thought. Cucurella, again, mixed bag. He's been awful as of recent, but, at the start of the season, he looked very impressive, in my opinion. So it's been a bit of a mixed bag of what we have signed. And then obviously you get to January window and we bring in Enzo Fernandez, Mudryk, Madueke, we bring them. I'm talking about them specifically because these are the ones that have come in for the right now. And we've had 2 games of them. And in the 2 games, it's especially the last game for a certain period, it looked good. It looked like, right, he's made some big decisions in dropping players. And then he added in some of the attackers, some of the new attackers. Chemistry is always going to be the issue, guys. And chemistry comes with longevity. Chemistry comes with time. It doesn't really matter what type of manager you have in at this point. I think understanding the players you're signing, then finding how they suit a system and a squad are 2 different things. And, on top of, yeah, he is, Joey, he is, yeah. On top of all of that, we also had this, oh God, frick the wrong thing. We also had, obviously, there's that. And we had this comment, right, which goes on to my next thing of Graham Potter, which was talking briefly about from Fabrizio Romano that Chelsea want to protect Graham Potter. They want to proceed in the process together. Results are always needed. And this is a mission for Potter to get them as soon as possible. And at the moment, there's no conversations with any other managers. So the owners are showing that they're backing the manager. They made a big decision in sacking Thomas Tuchel, one that many fans are feeling very annoyed about again. And I feel the Thomas Tuchel talks are starting to come out again when we're comparing him to Graham Potter. And it's a thing of saying, like, why did we get rid of Thomas Tuchel for this guy? I always knew us making this big jump and bringing in this manager that we was gonna have this sort of topsy-turvy ride. I always knew that that was going to be the case. The issue is there's been a lot going on in between these factors. These owners have got a bit of a hole because if they sack him now, it makes him look really stupid because they've sacked him on the back of obviously get rid of Tuchel. You've sacked two managers in the space of one season, in a season which is meant to be what we said and have all agreed as fans is a transitional period, right? That's what we've all come to have agreed on. Yes, we're sitting in 10th. Yes, it's not pretty. Yes, it's a bit hard, right? But I think time will definitely, time will tell. But at the same time, progression is important, and this is where we're going to get to our next thing. So at the moment, is there something else I wanted to share on there? Yeah, there we go. And then it goes on to this again from what the owners were saying, which is specifically talking about what Nizar Kinsella come out and commented on today. So Nizar Kinsella's comment today basically goes on to say that Chelsea owners remain behind Graham Potter despite the fans' discontent. See, last couple of days, what I said, it seems to be got heated. Thomas Tuchel was sacked by the owners after they conducted a comprehensive review of his first 100 days at the club. But Potter has comfortably survived a similar review. So if you're going to compare the first 100 days of Potter to the first 100 days of Tuchel, there's nothing to compare. Because what Thomas Tuchel had done in that period, without the backing and the signings, we can say as well, will over-exceed what Graham Potter did. Granted, 100%. The question here is, why did the owners comfortably barge it away? And it goes back to what I said and what I felt when they appointed him, that when we have these moments, and we're having this moment, and it's been a while that we continue to have this moment, I think it's going to be a point of that they know that this year is going to be hard, that they know maybe revenue-wise, Chelsea Football Club ain't going to be able to do that. They know that they're going to have to dig into their pockets to try and solve many issues that we have in the squad. And then it falls down to, what we're spending, the transitional side, and how quick can we speed the transition up. Now, you look at us and what we did through that point, emptying the whole board out, clearing a lot of the deadwood players out that have been stuck on loans for so long in this football club. There's a lot of good things that these owners have done at the football club already. The big question now, and why the Chelsea fans are on the back of Graham Potter to this point, is that we've moved so quickly in spending and trying to solve the issues quicker. I don't think you will ever see another football club in history, spend the kind of money that Chelsea did in that January market, in that specific January window, right? That was a lot of money that we spent in that basis. And with doing that comes the added pressure, because now we've spent that money, and some of them are for the now, most of the ones that we bought in are for the now. We are now expecting things to just kick on. True. Granted, we're now getting the squad back slowly. The midfield has been a bit of a problem still, with obviously now Kovacic decided to come back to Karia as well. So that's going to kick us on, right? But it's only been really, when you think about it, it's only been really what? Since the end of the window to now, it's only been a handful of games, fingerful of games, And yes, he needs to start problem solving. But at the same time, he needs to start understanding how he gets the best out of the players that we sign, and how he can get them to tick, what he needs to do, and how he gets the best chemistry. I think Ben Chilwell will play over Cucurella. I think Kovacic will come in and play next to Enzo Fernandez. Reece James is slowly getting fitter and fitter. Madueke and Mudryk are still challenged to adapt to this league very quickly. We're playing Kai Havertz up front, which we all know we're not happy with. And on top of all of that, we've got, a João Felix that we've lost for a couple of games that's just come back in now. First game yesterday against West Ham. Enzo Fernandez, who's settled in quite nicely, quickly, with the weakness in the midfield when you think about what's next to him, and done okay. We've not had a full squad back yet, right? Where we can kind of lay out the best formation and go for it. And with the Champions League around the corner being tomorrow, I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does this and what he does, right? The pressure is on, because the pressure is that he needs to progress. The pressure is that he needs to start showing us fans that he can get results. Yeah. And winning is important. We can't continue. And I've said this many times, we can't continue. We can't continue to just draw games. That ain't acceptable. There has to be some sort of style, gameplay, plan, idea, philosophy of what we want to do when we try to play. Chris and his comment here goes on about that we've spent over 600 million building a squad, and we have given it to Graham Potter Zero progress shown in over 6 months, 2 wins in the last 13. Potter out. Now, it's a weird one for me, this, right? Because my question marks of Graham Potter isn't specifically what he does in the press conferences when he talks, but more specifically on the tactical side, the setup side, the way we look, what he's trying to do. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in a second. The whole 600 million thing doesn't really sit with me because we already knew before we'd even spent this money that we were going to spend this money. It's just how quick we spent the money that surprised a lot of us Chelsea fans. But now we've spent that money, right? It's the context behind it. The context behind it being the fact that we're still not really in a position where, well, we've not been in a position this season where we've had a full squad back for him to be able to utilise and then show us what he's trying to do, which is the big thing to show. And we're going to get to that in a bit, in a second. But but also on top of all of that, it's the fact that you can't, like, sometimes when I would listen to or read things on Twitter, I kind of think that Chelsea fans think that we should be second again or third. We're not in a great position. And yes, we need to start winning games. I get that. And yes, we've spent this money. But spending this money, which we have done, doesn't mean that you go now and it works. You've got so many factors, guys, when it comes to building the squad. Building the squad quicker through the transition is important because it gives us, a squad depth, especially when you've got everyone back. But it's about chemistry. It's about time. It's about giving players that have come in, the young ones like Mudryk and Madueke, a bit of time to adapt, get used to what we're trying to do. Enzo Fernandez to build chemistry up with an actual midfielder next to him, like a Kovacic, if it's a Zakaria, whoever. There's a lot that needs to be done. But at the same time, Graham Potter still has to try and find a way of winning games. So the 600 million thing kind of doesn't really thingy me. It's not really an argument for me at the moment because it is just too early doors. We spent 300 million a month ago. It's not like we have, it's not like it's a case of that we, that we haven't. We spent it, but then it's now like the case of, oh, well, because we've spent that money, we should be up here. It doesn't work like that, guys. I don't think people are understanding the mess that this fucking squad was in. How the squad has been for a while, and we've all been saying it. We've all been saying the same thing, and we all still say the same thing. We still need a striker. We still need another midfielder. We still need a goalie, in many ways, some people are saying. So that, for me, becomes a bit irrelevant. Now, where fans are getting annoyed with Graham Potter, and I'm going to put the link into these lots soon to get them in, because I want them to come in as well, is, from what I'm seeing, which is what is outraging them, is this. If Graham Potter's attitude it's Graham Potter's attitude for me, you can't see any form of fear, of tension on his countenance. Man gives zero fucks about anybody. Look, like, there's been a couple of things that he said in the past that I've questioned and been like, it's a bit of a shitty response. I get it. However, for me, what he says in the press conference gets forgotten once you win on the pitch. And that's the thing. If he's not a Mourinho, Tuchel, which he isn't, Conte type of personality, which he isn't, I think we need to accept that. Doesn't mean specifically he hasn't got a winning mentality. He just might be approaching it completely different. But then by doing what he's doing on press conferences, we also have to see results. And this is where sustainability comes. This is where getting the best out of what you have comes, right? Why people are getting annoyed is that they're not seeing what they want to see on the pitch because we're not getting wins. And then the attitude then comes from him that he doesn't apparently care because he's not moaning about not getting that handball that we should have got against Souček, against West Ham. Or he's not ripping his shirt off and shouting at the referee and swearing at him after the game. Or, running down the other end of the pitch when we're scoring goals. He's not that type of manager, guys. I think we just need to accept that that's not the type of manager we have. Doesn't completely mean that he don't give two shits. I don't think that's the case. I just think that he approaches things in a different aspect in terms of a manager, different personality, different profile. That's just who he is. And even if we were winning games, even if it was 7 in a row that we were winning, I still think you'd get the same he would have the same press conferences, but no one would question him. No one would really get annoyed because we're winning. So actively, the issue's not this, because a lot of people talk about press conferences piss me off because he don't show any intent. He doesn't look like a winner. He doesn't look like he cares. He doesn't. He always answers thing crap. He doesn't really give us clear answers. He's very closed book. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Yeah, I get all that. I understand why it would annoy people, but at the same time, I think what's more important now is that he gives that press conference, which people don't like, but then he goes and gets the job done on the pitch. And that's where it goes into my next thing. And that's where we're going to go to now. And while I'm doing that, let me just quickly send a link to the guys quickly that are going to join us on this as well. Um, it goes on to what my thoughts are now and where I stand with Potter before we start asking the panels their thoughts, right? Big up to every single one of you. 450 of you guys here at the moment. Thank you for all tuning in, subscribing. Let's get involved. Let's have a chat. Let's not have a heated, you know, emotional crybaby chat. Let's just try and talk from both sides. The outside, where people feel this is it, and the insides and why people feel they should stay. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about and when it comes to my opinion of Graham Potter and where I stand with it, I'll give it to you quickly, and then we'll throw in we'll get the opinion of the panels as they start slowly coming in as well in the chat. Now, my issue with Potter is not specifically what he says on the in the press conferences. It's not specifically what he says in the press conferences. My issue with Graham Potter and why I specifically wanted to go to West Ham and be at West Ham was more to study him tactically, to understand the type of manager we have from being a manager on the pitch, solving problems, etc. And I watched that game specifically, and I'm talking about West Ham, and the energy wasn't there. I didn't feel that energy from Potter, right? I didn't get the jumping around screaming, and I'm fine. I'm cool with it. But then there was moments in the game, and we know very well that for 20 minutes we dominated the game. We looked good, things were ticking, but we lost control of the game. And part of the reason why we lost control of the game was Kukurea. They started targeting our wings, like Declan Rice said after the game, and it ended up becoming a problem. But in that moment, he seems to like to problem solve by sitting on a bench and talking to his guy. Now, I'm not saying he's not talking about what he needs to do, but he's not a very active person, getting behind him, trying to boost him. He doesn't really energize him, doesn't really get behind him, right? That's one of the first things I saw with him, which I was a bit like, they're going to need you. If you're away to Real Madrid or Barcelona or Man City and the boys are struggling on the pitch and they need a bit of a boost, they need someone to get behind them. This is where you've got to do it. This is where you need to have a bit of it. I'm not saying be a Conte and go and scream the whole 5 minutes. I'm saying get up, get behind them, give them a bit of this go. Come on. And I didn't see that. Tactically, watching the way that he set up, I thought he set us up okay. He dropped Mount, he made big decisions, he dropped Gallagher. Fine, I get that. But where it got to me a bit was where we lost control of the game. We lost control of the game after 25 minutes of this game. And then we didn't really have an answer. We started playing very slow sideways football. It wasn't quick enough. It was really a slow build up, and it wasn't really working for us. And we kept getting caught because Kukurea kept not, basically not pressuring the player and whatever else. We know that story. He doesn't seem to have an answer to problem solve. He doesn't seem, from what I saw of that game, he doesn't seem to be able to act in a way that where he can make an intricate decision that then benefits the team and the team then thrive from it and we grab control of the game again. He doesn't seem to have, he's not doing the problem solving. He's not doing that. And we go into the second half and you expect a big talk and then they come out and they regressed. They were more quieter in my opinion, and it wasn't working. And then it was right, okay, substitutions. And when you already know my thoughts on substitutions, he then makes substitutions too late, but the substitutions he makes then regresses the team even more. My thing with it all is that if we're gonna lose control of the game, and it's normal because the chemistry is not there, right? We're not going to dominate games, right? It's about finding answers, and finding answers can sometimes mean not always changing the players. Sometimes it could just be a little tactical switch, bringing someone there, putting him there, switching the formation to something else like a 4-2-2. Yeah. And then maybe using one of your players that then fits that better to come on and play. Right. Guys in the back, I'm going to get you in 2 seconds. Sorry. Let me just get you in now, actually, while I'm talking. Come to you in a second. I'm just finishing off where I'm going with this. So he's, so at the end of the day, my point is he's regressed the team, which means he hasn't problem solved because he hasn't, in many ways, used the right decision making in terms of players he's brought on. Right, he hasn't switched the formation at this point because, he's decided that's not the case, that he's happy with the 4-2-3, which I'm happy with. But in some moments where you maybe need a bit of control and you can't play the 4-2-3-1 because when you look at your bench, specifically, maybe you just not got the depth or the quality of player that can, come on and benefit it. He decides to do the opposite. And the opposite is play players out of position, like Mount on the left, Conor Gallagher in the middle, and it regressed us. And we lost even more control of the game. And there was them little intricate things as a manager, moments, right? When you look at the Tuchels, you look at the Mourinhos, when you look at these type of managers, right? These managers always seem to find a way with their substitutions that they can see that we're not controlling the game anymore, that we're actually struggling, that the opposition themselves have managed to find a bit of a weakness in what we're doing, right? And they act on it. With him, I didn't see that. And from the managerial side of things, when you look at him as a manager, they're the big question marks for me moving forward. Because when he has a full squad back, and I'm talking about the midfield mainly now, because when they start coming in, we're going to expect more sustainability at some point. When he has that to hand, and he has a bit of the depth, and we have the numbers, it's going to be then important for him to then make sure that if this is your core 11 and it's not working, about problem solving when we need to problem solve, about making decisions when you need to make decisions and the right decisions that affect the game, which allow us to win. Because we're not going to see this great Potter ball that we want to see right now. We might see glimpses of it like we did do, but then when it does fade off or it isn't, we're not in control of the game. It's about them finding that, and it's not so much for me the press conferences with him and what he says. For me, it's about what he's doing on the pitch tactically, how he gets behind them. Man management. Man management's a key thing. Getting behind the players, right? It's the tactical sides of it, right? It's understanding the profiles of the players you have in your team, which might take a bit of time because he's got a couple of new ones. Fine, I get that. But the others he's had for a while, So now they're all coming back in. I need to see some sort of progression, not only just in wins, but in the way that we're playing. And when we do lose control of games, he needs to start showing me, and I'm talking about me for myself because I'm the one talking about this, right? I'm not sure how the other guys feel about it. He needs to show me that he can act in the game when we need him to, that he can be a man that can step up and make a decision where it then goes on and leads control again, and then we go on and win games. Yeah, that's the big question with Graham Potter for me and where it stands. And it doesn't mean I'm out, doesn't mean I'm in. It means that I need to see more of this, and it's too early to be calling him out now, in my opinion. You can moan as much as you want about the 600 million he spent and whatever. Yeah, I'm not saying it's completely irrelevant, but there's a lot of context to it, as I've explained to you guys, right? More importantly now, it's about how we progress as a team with him, with the squad depth, and how he utilizes it and then gets the best out of his system. And he uses the word himself, sustainability. Sustainability is something he keeps using in press conferences. We want sustainability. We want sustainability. We want to move forward. Well, you can't do that unless the players understand the game plan, the style. And I didn't see that again. Only other against West Ham, only other for the first 25 minutes, right? That's the big question with him. And maybe that will come with a bit of time. But I think we need to at least give him that. He's going to get this season. The owners have already made it clear that he's not going anywhere, right? Maybe a problem if he doesn't win a game to the end of the season. Don't get me wrong. But, at this moment in time, that's the real issue with me and Graham Potter at the moment, all right? So whether you treat it as if you think I'm out, if you think I'm in, I've just told you I'm not. Yeah, I'm in between. I'm waiting. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Graham Potter as it stands as a manager. And they're big question marks because they're the real important ones, right? As a manager of a football club, what do you really get judged on? What you say in front of the fucking media or what you do on the pitch? It's what you do on the pitch. So he can say what he wants in the media, but as long as the results are on the pitch are successful, I don't care if he's not a Mourinho or a Conte screaming. I want results. I want to see style play. I want to see control. I want to see what it is that he's trying to do. I want to see him change the game and give us control again. I want to see all of these things again. Yeah, these are the big question marks of Graham Potter for me going forward. So, guys, welcome to everyone. Couch, Don, Callie, AJ, Forward, Hassan. Big up to every single one of you guys.
Hey.
Big up, my guy.
It's worth having discussion, right? Because it seems in the last couple of days, specifically since David Ornstein's brought out that comment about the owners backing him and the 100 game review, and he passed that quite comfortably and all this stuff and whatever. I'll start with Couch. I mean, Couch, obviously, there's a lot of Potter outers, as you can see across the fan base at the moment, and they're not happy with things. Obviously, I've explained my thoughts more from the on pitch side, the management side. Others are angry with the way that he presents himself as a manager off the pitch as well. How are you feeling about Graham Potter at Chelsea at the moment? Where do you stand with it all? And we'll go through each person and get their thoughts as well.
I'm not gonna lie, Jem. You left nothing. I'm getting an echo. You guys hearing that?
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Jem. You left nothing for us to talk about. You basically covered everything. All of my sentiments were echoed in what you said. But in terms of where I kind of want to start, and this is kind of, I'm gonna sound like I'm Potter out, and I'm not. I think that first of all, what we have to consider is the loudest people you're going to hear right now, whether it's on social media or otherwise, are going to be people that are Potter out. People that are neutral like myself, or people that are Potter in, quote unquote, aren't going to be saying a lot because there hasn't been a lot of evidence to support him to stay, other than the fact that he just needs time, right? So the loudest people you're going to hear right now are going to be the Potter out. I don't know if that's the majority of the fan base. I think that's just the reality of the situation. When people are frustrated, they're going to voice their opinion. With that said, when you're talking about like the press conferences and the mannerisms on the touchline and stuff like that, I'm of the opinion that sometimes you need a manager who can invigorate the squad, can give them life, come into the game. Like you said, the first 25 minutes, we were popping the ball up quite well all over the pitch. And then we kind of lost our way. And then we go into halftime, we come back out and we look worse. So for me, sometimes I think that like the personality of the manager is echoed in that of the squad. Like sometimes when you don't have a manager that is aggressive and taking charge, you lose that sort of like identity on the pitch. And for me, that's where part of the problem is for me with Potter. Like his personality, his demeanor, the things he says in the press conferences, it's almost like he's passing on his personality to the team. And we're not seeing enough of just like passion, like aggression. Like when was the last time you seen Chelsea go in there for a 50-50 tackle and win it? You're just not seeing that on the pitch. I'm not sure if that's all that the problem is. Like I'm thinking about just the playing style. And I know, yes, we've spent 600 million pound, whatever on players. That doesn't matter. Okay. That doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, you have to show that you have a style of play that is adaptable to the team that you've assembled. And I haven't seen anything that looks like that. I haven't seen anything that resembles a style of play. We've seen it in fits and starts. We see about 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here that resembles the attacking style of football that we want to see at the club. And then we go into halftime, come back out, and it's completely gone. And we're just like basically just sheltering ourselves from the onslaught from the team. Like he hasn't shown me that he has the ability to adjust in game. So when you see a team, they're not pressing in the first half, and then the second half they start pressing and we can't handle it. What are you doing to counteract what they're doing? It's not about just bringing on fresh legs and then, hoping that it all changes. It's about changing the tactical setup of your team. It's about changing the mentality of your team. Can we go through the gears? Can we get a team we're playing in gear 1? Can we go to gear 2, gear 3, gear 4? Like we see the Man Cities do. We see Arsenal doing it lately. Like that's the problem I'm having right now. I'm not seeing that he has the ability to get this team to go through the gears. I remember under Mourinho, and I don't want to harken back to years past, but like under Mourinho, like even the 2015 team, there'd be times when we start the game so slow, we go down behind 1-0, and then all of a sudden he puts a rocket up everyone's ass, and then we're playing at a different pace. It turns into a 1-1, 2-1, 3-1 game. That doesn't happen enough for me under Graham Potter, and that's management. That's not about like the playing staff not knowing each other. That's not about the injuries. It's about getting them to buy into this new way of playing. Or if you don't have that, what is the plan B? When have we seen a plan B under Graham Potter? That's the main thing, right? Those are the things that bother me. It's not about Graham Potter out, because at the same time, I'm kind of like at the opinion that I haven't seen this thing given enough time. I haven't seen this thing. I don't know what time is like at Chelsea. I just know that since I've been a Chelsea supporter, we've always just recycled managers when we don't see what we want to see on the pitch. So I haven't really understood, come to grips with the fact that we can allow this to go a year, a year and a half before we see any real changes. Even that's not very long when you consider it, because it's just not, right?
It's a lot of money spent in
But
a short space of time, and then to them think that we should be using that as a factor, as if to say we should be a lot higher. I just think there's a lot more context to it, in my opinion,
no,
especially
it's
from where
it's
we
not about
moved.
it's not about the money for me though. It's still about the playing style. It's still about like how are you
No, no,
getting
I
these
agree with
guys?
that. I've already said all that. I agree with all that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like you can say that, like, honestly, how many times have you heard a manager say, or they come out in the press and say that the ownership is backing the manager, and then like a week later the guy gets sacked? I don't buy into this whole idea that they're looking to give him years, or it's all about what you do on the pitch. Like you can go on a losing streak of like 10 games and then it just becomes untenable. You're just like, I can't have this anymore. Like we're gonna be, fighting relegation. You know what I mean? The squad is no longer responding to this guy as a manager. So the idea that like they're giving him this vote of confidence for years over months or weeks or whatever is neither here nor there for me. It's about the results. For
Do you think?
and it's
Do
a
you think? Do you think it's more of a fact that they kind of jumped the gun with Tuchel, and now they're kind of thinking, well, we can't just sack him 2 managers in the season. We need to back him like we said we'll do, and we knew that this was going to be a turbulent season, and the fans are just going to have to accept that even though we spent money quickly, we're not going to get what we want straight away. But I still think we need progression. But I just think maybe that's the attitude of the owners, is to say, well, not expected to be 10th, but at the same time we expect, you know, we
No, that
expect
could very well be
to
the
get
case.
healthy.
Like it's
Yeah.
like you have egg on your face. You fired a manager that the entire fan base were endeared to, and for whatever reasons, like I don't think that he was fired for the brand of football on the pitch. I think it has more to do with what was happening off the pitch. But for whatever reason, you got rid of him. You brought in this guy that was supposed to be this new, new fresh face in terms of like management, who's never handled a squad as big as Chelsea, and that's the other thing too, like the culture around the club. And this is probably my last point on this thing. The culture at the club has always been, we need a manager that fights for us because nobody else will. Like we get
Yeah.
decisions like what we saw on the weekend, handball, and he's like, well, that's what happens. That's what football's about sometimes. Like if any other manager at a top club would not accept that. They just would not accept that. You wouldn't see Pep like, yeah, well, that's just football. Oh, Klopp, oh, well, that's just football. It's just not. You need somebody that is going to be like, listen, I'm fighting for my club right now. That is a bullshit decision right now. And if we see that again, you're going to be hearing from me again. That
Yeah.
the culture around the club has changed drastically. Like when you think about the managers that used to, us against them mentality, the managers that used to be like, nobody's going to take the piss out of my club. You know, it just seems like wishy-washy right now. Like we don't
Yeah, but
really
even
have
then,
a real identity.
even then managers that were a lot more loud and savvy and whatever never lasted. This
Well,
is,
that too.
like,
No, but
this.
that's under a different regime in terms of like how you see,
No,
how
but
you see the ownership, right?
what we're talking about here is finding some long sustainability, longevity, giving a manager a chance, right? This is what we were assuming was going to be the case with the new owners, with them appointing this guy, with whatever, right? This is what we assumed. With that
Right.
era, yeah, you're right. With that era, it was about just winning, and we did. Granted, we won trophies under
I don't.
under the great managers, but it was never
I don't
sustained.
think that the culture. I don't think the culture should change though. The culture around fighting for this club, that should never change. That's part of who we are as Chelsea. And I feel like under Graham Potter right now, and keep in mind, I said this at the beginning. I'm not Graham Potter out. I just think I need more information before I can formulate my opinion one way or the other. But I'm seeing a drastic like culture change, and I don't like it, to be honest with you. I want to see a manager that's going to be fighting for this club.
And that's and
That's
that's
the last point I have on that.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I hear that, and I think the fighting side of it goes back to what we're saying with the personality, and that's why I said I think with the personality, I don't think you will get that from him in terms of that Conte Tuchel-esque sort of energy. My thing is, he can say what he wants in the press conference as long as we win. If he's winning games, people ain't talking about press conferences. Doesn't matter what he's saying because we're winning. Like that. That's the way I see it with him. So it's for me. I just look at it a little bit different. I know some people were saying, so you're happy for him to just stage him a longevity and not win anything. No, I've not said that. If you've heard what I said 20 minutes ago about what I want to see specifically, that's something that has to happen, kind of in a way. From now moving forward, especially with the depth back as well. We need to slowly start seeing an improvement in how we're playing, a game plan, style. They need to start understanding what he wants them to do. these are
And
things
can
we
I
need to
just
start seeing. But
sorry, can I just say one more thing? Because I think that I left one little piece out. I don't
well,
want to leave any of these guys anything else to talk about, so I'm just gonna get this out quick. Like in terms of like balance in the squad, this is the thing that gets me too, because when you think about, remember those early games where the pre-match assessment was always wrong. Like 35 minutes into the game, he has to pull off somebody off the bench because he's got the tactics wrong, or halftime he's got to make a substitution. He's gotten that wrong so many times, a lot of times,
I
right?
agree.
And then also in terms of the balance in the squad, like on the weekend, like he left nothing on the bench, absolutely nothing on the bench to change the game. Like I was making the argument that Madueke should come off the bench because he had already made that cameo the game before, and he gave us some good minutes off the bench. Give him some continuity there so he understands his role in the squad. Didn't do that. Obviously, Raheem Sterling was injured, different, but like just give us something that we can look to off the bench that we say, okay, fine, the game's not going the way we want. Can we bring somebody on that can change it? And he hasn't really understood that yet. It's just like we're just going to throw the kitchen sink at teams for 25 minutes, and then at the end of the game, we have nothing left and we can't change the game. So it's about the balance for me too, man.
Yeah, I hear you. I mentioned the same thing as well. I agree. Don, what was you saying, mate?
Yeah, I think, Jem, you've covered a lot of what I was going to say, and my thoughts. I think you've echoed a lot of the thoughts that I've got with Potter. Couch, same sort of thing as well when it comes to just, the energy and what are you actually saying to these players at half time. For me, I think with Graham Potter, I've been quite balanced in my criticism of him because he's gone through a lot in terms of coming into a mess which needed to be cleaned anyway. He's come into all these players that are just not good enough, players that shouldn't be here anymore, players that don't want to be here anymore, multiple injuries. You could have made a squad full of the injuries that we had. And, I was looking at all of these things and thinking, do you know what? We can't ignore 12 injuries because we're technically playing our second team. And it's good that, like I said, it was a bit of a blessing in disguise that happened because it clearly exposed all the bums and all the players that just aren't good enough for Chelsea because they were forced to play. So Graham Potter had to deal with that, and he's having to deal with a big squad. So he was still trying to work out the best team to put out there. So I was looking at all of that and saying, right, we can't ignore the injuries. We cannot ignore the injuries. But as of January onwards, the decision making for me has been abysmal. Playing Azpilicueta instead of Chalobah against Fulham, terrible decision. Playing Mason Mount and Gallagher in midfield together, again, constantly making weird decisions such as these. So I think as of January, I've been a little bit harsher. Well, not harsher, but I've actually been able to judge him a little bit more because he has had players coming back and he's been able to go out there and bring in new players. Obviously, it's not going to gel overnight, and we still need to give it a bit more time. But one thing for me with Potter, same thing as what Couch said there is, what is he actually saying to these players at half time? Because we go in there, shocking performance first half in some games, and then we come out and it feels like nothing's been said, nothing's been done, nothing's been changed in terms of tactics, nothing's been tweaked, and it just seems like it's the same thing over and over again. Again, like I said the other day, it's 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, because I was happy with the lineup we put out against West Ham the other day in dropping Gallagher and Mount. I wasn't happy with him starting Havertz, but it is where it is. At least we've got 2 of those guys out of the midfield, and we can hopefully look forward to something. And it was a better performance, but like I said, I looked at that more of an individual brilliance more than an actual performance from the team overall. So it is concerning, some of these decisions that he's making, and it seems like he's not been able to tactically beat a lot of these managers. It seems like when he comes up against something adverse, he's not able to get over that hurdle. I get it. He's still trying to figure out who can do the best job in what position. He's still trying to work out these new players that are coming in. Again, chemistry is a big thing. Yeah, we have to wait. We have to give it a bit more time. But what I would say is tactically, he definitely needs to sort out his decision making, because as it stands, it hasn't been good. But one thing that I would say, like, I get what people say about the conferences and Potter coming out. He just doesn't look like a Chelsea manager. I can agree with that. But at the same time, if Potter came out acting like someone that he isn't, he would still get criticised. Look what happened in the first game when Potter first came here, right? He went to A-Star Barbers or HD Cuts, one of the barbers over there, got a fresh trim, taper fade, and he wore a suit, everyone was looking at him like, this ain't you, Graham. Like, what are you doing? Like, just go in there, be the Graham that we know. And he got criticized for being someone that we were not used to. So I get the criticism in terms of how he's been, in terms of his personality, but at the same time, I don't want him to fake who he is, because we'll all be able to see through that. What I
Yeah, but
want
isn't that part of
is
it though?
what I want.
Don, isn't that the
No, what
problem though? Like he doesn't seem like he's a big club manager then. Like
Yeah, no, I get
his
that,
his
because he isn't. Because
yeah.
he isn't. But what I do want is for him to understand that he's at Chelsea Football Club. He's got this job on merit. He hasn't won this job in a serial competition, or he's just got a ticket. He's found a ticket at the train station. He's picked it up. But you're a Chelsea manager. You have got this job on merit because of what you've done, and these owners clearly believe in you and they're backing you. So come out and back yourself. Back yourself.
Yeah.
These players are coming out. Loftus-Cheek came out. Reece James came out. They're all saying the same thing. We need to wait. We're gonna gel. It's gonna come. Give it time. They're all backing you, but it seems like he's not backing himself. So I need him to come out of his shell a little bit more. Not fake it. Like I said, don't be someone that you're not. Don't be a Tuchel. Don't be a Mourinho, because you're not like that, Graham. But what I do need from you is a little bit more confidence. Come out and show that you've earned this job. Don't. To me, it seems like he's there and he's not supposed to be there. He feels like he's not supposed to be there, and wow, I'm at Chelsea. He's looking around him like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually at Chelsea. You're here now, pattern up, sort it out, and
Well,
be a little bit more.
the problem with Potter, I think, in the moment is that it's the whole thing of when we signed him, it was like the unknown, and it still is the unknown. It's like, what can you expect from a manager that's not shown anything in his past other than from being at Brighton and managing a squad into good positions and whatever. Like, this is the thing with Potter. I think it's just learning about can he take that next step in himself to be an elite manager, or say a top manager, not elite, but a top manager, and be able to coach a top 6 team and get results and manage egos, bigger egos, players with bigger egos and stuff like that. Right? These are the
I
things
mean,
that.
he's a bit, yeah, he's coming across at the moment as a bit too
Yeah.
timid for my liking. Like, you're here now, so just, do you know what I mean? Believe in yourself. That's the word. You need to have more belief, and that will show on the rest of the team. Trust me. When you start to see Potter coming out, right, I think results will definitely bring a little bit more belief, and you might start to see a difference in his press conferences and how confident he comes across. But for now, you're at a big club. You've accepted the job, so act like it. Like I said, don't fake it. Don't be someone that you're not. But at the same time, you've earned the right to be here because of what you've done before this in the owner's eyes, right? So if the owners are backing you, back yourself is the main thing. So he needs to believe in himself. That's what I think.
100%.
That might be part of the problem, though. Sorry, just that might be part of the problem too. That just there's no pressure on this guy right now. There's just no pressure to like get to your
I wonder
higher self.
why, Couch. I
This is the thing,
wonder
though.
why.
Everyone's saying this, yeah, but the thing is, for me, I definitely look next season. If he carries on doing this next season, he's gonna get sacked. He's not gonna get years like David Ornstein said the other day. Like, if he carries on next season, he will be sacked.
Of course he
This
will.
season, I'm not giving him a free pass, because, like I said the other day, he has enough ingredients right now to make a meal out of what he's got. Right? I know we've got a few more additions to make, but he's got more than enough right now to be getting results. So I need better decision making from him. But besides the decision making, I need him to show more belief. I need him to show more confidence. I need him to show everyone that he deserves to be here, that he's comfortable here. Not in the sense of comfortable in getting these bad results, but comfortable in the sense of this is my job. I'm going to step up now. It's time for me to step up. And I'm just not really getting that from him. I'm not really getting that from him at the moment.
Yeah. I hear you, bro. I hear you. I think you're sort of in. I don't know if you don't really sound a full outer, but you sound just sort of going on your way slowly with what you're seeing. So I think it's just about time for you.
I'm taking it game by game. Literally, I'm taking it game by game. Yeah. But like I said, I still expect him to do better as of January onwards. I need results now.
Let's see, because he's going to have a full squad back now in terms of, I say midfield, because we missed Kovacic, Kante, Takara. So once you get them in as well, hopefully we see more. We're going to have to see more from it. But let's go to forward. How you doing, my man? And what do you want to say? Like, what's your thoughts on like the whole, say, social media vibe on Potter out and all this as well? Like, how are you feeling?
Well, first of all, I'm feeling good. Big up to you, the panel, everybody, Chelsea fans around the world. Interesting times to say the least, but we keep it moving, man. So obviously with the topic today and everything, like on Potter, like again, I get the discourse and I get why there's a lot of like talk around Potter, and obviously there's pressure from obviously other fan bases, but also the media given our spend. It's a record-breaking spend for sure. But I think we have to still be understanding of the situation as a whole, and like again, that doesn't mean that Potter's free from any criticism, of course not. But it means that we have to talk about everything within context. And that's why when we look at the big statements of whether you're Potter in or Potter out, like for a start, I started off in the Arsenal fan base in around the mid tens with obviously Arsene Wenger, who again, compared to Potter, Arsene Wenger managed Arsenal for 22 years. And I think the whole Wenger in, Wenger out nonsense started around I think 2012, 2013 when he was like 16, 17 years into the job. Potter's only been here 6 months. And that's to say that, yeah, Arsenal fans had all of that success with Wenger and then a lot of barren years. And they were getting to the point where is Wenger still good enough to be the manager that's going to get them back to the heights of challenging for league titles, trying to challenge for a Champions League title? Like, so that's why it made sense for them to have a look at everything that's happened before and see whether they are still Wenger in, they still believe in whatever process they were doing then, or if they feel like we need to move them on. Whereas with Potter now, for me, I'm Potter neutral. Like, there's just not enough information for me to decide whether he's the man that's going to win us a Champions League, win us a Premier League, or if he's going to be a flop in the next few months or however long he's going to be here till we get sacked.
Forward. Just sorry to interrupt you, bro. Yeah, just on that point, bro. Yeah, like the out, Potter in, Potter out stuff is such a gimmick. Like, why do you have to be Potter in? Why do you have to be Potter out? Why can't you just speak your thoughts and just say what you're seeing? And what we're
That
seeing right now
is
is not good. It doesn't mean you're
Potter,
Potter out,
Very true.
but literally just speak about what you're seeing. You don't need to be no Potter in,
John.
Potter out. Just speak
Potter
on what
in
you
or
see.
Potter out is a
It's
simplified
so
way of
Arsenal.
saying
It's so
I don't
Arsenal.
back
Take it
him.
all about. We'll do the
I hate
okey-dokey
it
and
so
turn
much, man.
around. That's what it's all about.
It's all these kids. I hate this gimmick of Potter in, Potter out, or this manager in, this manager out. Just speak on what you see, man.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
hate
bro.
it too, bro. I think it's
Yeah.
people with them will then say that and hide behind that, oh, the standards at Chelsea, we're not Arsenal, the standards, blah blah blah. It's like, no, like you can criticize what you're seeing on a week to week basis. That doesn't mean you have to make a judgment on what you're seeing, because ultimately, like any court case, if this was a court case, you don't make your judgment after hearing one or two stories or one or
Yeah.
two accounts of what happened.
Mm,
You
yeah.
give your judgment after you see everything, after you have enough time to make a solid verdict on what you've seen. And again, I don't think we need to see maybe 5 or 6 years before we have a verdict on Potter, but we certainly need more than 6 months. And again, my reasoning for that is because again, you have to look at the context of why we got Potter. We wanted to build our own project. And if you look at Potter's work at Ostersund, Swansea briefly, and then Brighton, you look at all the times there, nobody can tell me that, oh, Potter in the first year was done an amazing job. No, like
No, he didn't.
he's built
He didn't. No.
he's there as a project manager. Like
Mm.
he was brought in to go and build something here. Again, if we had brought in, let's say, like a Conte or Tuchel type manager where it's all about winning now, then okay, I would understand that there's all different expectations, but that's not the expectations on Potter. Potter was never seen as that kind of guy who's going to just come in and bring us instant success. We're trying to build something long term, and that's why, again, you look at the investment not just into Potter, but into his recruitment team, his training staff, for Stanley coming in, and everything that's come towards what gave us, for me and for I think most of the fan base, a very successful January window. That's all part of that process. And again, you look at it, we given Potter what, a 6-year contract on 12 million a year. I think that works out at 60 million pounds. You think of also his recruitment team, Paul Stanley coming in. Maybe let's say we add another 30 million on top of that. Obviously all the signings that have come in, like that is and also 20 million compensation to Brighton for getting Potter out mid-season. Like that's a crazy investment that people are willing to say, oh, let's just forget about that and let's bin him up and get the next new flavor of the month over what, 6 months. Like it's just not logical. It doesn't make sense in any
Yeah.
business world. So why would it make sense at one of the biggest clubs in the world? So I don't agree with that logic at all, for sure. Again, this isn't to say Potter's free of judgment, free of criticism at the moment. No, Potter still needs to be criticized for a lot of what he's done so far. Again, I've been very critical of some of his selections of the lineup, his in-game management, also the tactics, because again, little things like, again, you have a 62 million pound signing in Mudryk on your left wing that you put a lot of obviously stocks into, and it doesn't seem like there's a real game plan in terms of getting him into the game. You have Cucurella not giving him the ball. You have our midfielders not necessarily finding him early or even in behind when he's making runs. I'm like, what is the game plan behind getting the best out of him? And in the Fulham game, I think it was Ziyech who started on the other side. And it's almost like all of our attacks were put towards Ziyech. the guy who wanted out literally 3 days earlier. So even things like that just don't necessarily make sense to
Decision
me.
making.
So
Yeah,
I have
I
to see
agree.
Paul,
Potter improve in that aspect.
that's
Sure,
that's such a good point that you make, yeah. Because the thing is, at the moment, people that what I've noticed that a lot of people that are screaming Potter out are people that can't get their head around that the culture and the where we're looking to go as a club is changing now. They're still stuck in the Roman era of trying to win now rather than building long-term success. Whereas the owners that we've got now are trying to build something sustainable and something that we can compete for a longer period of time. And
Done.
actually win trophies over a longer period of time. I'm tired of winning one or two trophies here and there and not competing for the league. Like, I'm tired of having this
Done.
conversation about us last win competing for the league in 2017, right? So realistically, Potter aligns with what they're trying to build at the moment. If you look at when we hired Potter and who was available at the time, who would you have brought that would have been aligning with the values that the new owners have? I can't think of anyone off the top. I can't
Um,
think. Zidane,
The
Zidane, no.
the
I
only
will
likely
answer
one is
you.
Pochettino. That's the
Pause.
only one.
So I
Pochettino,
may
hell
answer you.
no, hell
It's not
no,
Pochettino. Listen. Two things can
hell
be
no.
cool, Brown. We could be having a cultural rebuild. We need to change the ethos behind the club, sacking and hiring managers, and and Potter might not be good enough. Though both of those things can be true. You can say we need to rebuild, we need to change the structure of the club. Look at all the investment they're putting in to back the manager, and at the same time look at the manager and go, you know what? This mofo ain't good enough. Because at the end of the day, do not forget what cost more, backing a manager who doesn't even compete for something, or sacking that manager, taking the loss, getting a new manager, and winning something. Now, I'm not saying that's the route we need to go down, and I'll speak when it's my turn to speak. All I'm saying is you're acting like two things cannot be true. Yes, the club needs a rebuild, hence why these owners are doing a rebuild. And yes, at current present value, which is too early to say, Graham Potter is not good enough at this current point in time.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough, and I completely understand where you're coming from there. I think for me, just to end on my point before we go to the next panelist, is that I want to say how I view Potter's time here is that ultimately I think it's been good so far from what we've done in terms of rebuilding the squad. I feel like we're looking at getting some players out in the summer, of course, but we've addressed some key profiles in terms of bringing in players in January, which I was really happy with. Again, that's literally the best January window that any club has ever had in the game. So I'm very happy with that, and I feel like Potter and his recruitment team were a big part of that. So that's obviously a positive. As for the season domestically, I mean, I pretty much chalked it off after the 4-0 Brighton loss or 4-1 or whatever that embarrassment was. But I mean, ever since then, I realized, yeah, we're not getting top four. It is what it is. I'm just here to see the new players come in and do well. I'm here to see the old players that I know aren't good enough be exposed more and then be shipped out in the summer. That would be great. I'm looking at you, Kai Havertz. And then I'm also looking at Potter to see how he's gonna how his tactics are, like how he manages situations, not just tactically but also with man management. Because again, what can't be correlated from managing the likes of Ostersons and Brighton is how do you manage big personalities? How do you manage guys on massive wages, more wages than you are, like Aubameyang, for example? Like how do you manage people who are going to be disgruntled in the dressing room? What happens when Sterling comes back and he feels like I was signed to be one of the main guys in the team, and now you've got Mudryk and Madueke there, like. Am I not meant to be the main guy in the team? So I want to see how he manages all of those situations. But in terms of having a judgment on Potter, for me, I'm giving him till at least December. Because I feel like by then I'll have a good idea of where we're going to be, what we're going to be doing in the next season. And for me, I feel like we should be comfortably in the top four. I feel like that's just the bare minimum. We should be comfortably in the top four. Should still have done well if we're in any European competition. We'll see how that goes. And I feel like definitely by the end of the season, I want to see us challenging, or if not winning, the cup for sure. If we're in one of these B-Tech European competitions, then we definitely need to win that because that's what we always do. Again, this is why I always shit on United fans and Arsenal fans because whenever they end up in Europe and all that, they call it a crap competition, this stuff, but they don't end up winning it. The 2 times we were in the Europa the last decade, we won it both times. So if we're in there, we gotta win it. Simple as.
Exactly.
And then obviously last thing for me is that I'll judge Potter by the end of the season. Again, if by December we're looking flaky, we're like in 7th or 8th, you can just tell that the football's just not clicking, then we may have to look at get rid of him. But as long as it's not like a disastrous season, then I'm willing to give him till the end of next season, and we'll be able to assess it and look if we're cutting ground on the league leaders. We're not finishing like 20, 30 points behind them. Like if we can close that gap, be respectfully in the top 4, And the style of play, most importantly, the style of play is actually looking good. Like it's looking like sustainable football that can challenge for leagues, titles, and cups at the same time. Then we're willing to give him a third season at that point and see what happens. But until then, I feel like we shouldn't be rushing to say Potter out based on a team right now that has so many injuries and a lot of new players that still need to develop and still need to acclimatize to Premier League football. So for
The
me,
key
I'm
word
saying for
is
Chelsea
give it
fans, just
reasonable,
give it
give
time.
it
Give it time.
exactly, give it a reasonable amount of time. Right now, you can't be screaming Potter out when we've got all these new players, pretty much a whole new 11. He's had all these injuries. We know that Potter's not Chelsea standard. We all know this. We can all agree this. But right now, we're trying to build a different type of project to Roman because Roman's project and his tactics did not work. They stopped working after a while. You can't do that in football because everyone's got money these days. So we're looking to go in a completely different direction. You have to give it a bit of time. And like I said, if it doesn't work with Potter, if he's not improving, even especially next season, he will definitely be sacked. No doubt about it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And that's what I think where we stand at the moment. Some feel that maybe he's not the perfect ideal person for the job. Others are feeling that he needs more time. Others, like me, feel that we need to see more on the pitch now, more so going into the end of the season. I need to see him as a manager being a manager, tactically wise, solving issues, solving the so it's solving when we lose control of games, how to gain control and how we can affect the team to the point where we can switch and we then take control and things like that. So there's just a lot, man. There's a lot. I've already spoke about it from my side. Enzo, AJ, what are you saying? If he's not there, we'll go to Cali.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Big up, John. Big up, panel. Big up the
What
chat.
up?
No, I mean, you guys hit all the nails on the head. You said every point. I mean, towards somebody who has a balanced view, who's understanding the situation, who can see, into the future, like in terms of like the short term, like plan of the club, and understands the direction they want to go. That's all that context is super important when you're having these type of conversations. So if somebody's not understanding those pieces of context, then it's almost unnecessary to have the conversation because you're going to be talking along two different lines. So in my view, I see what the club wants to do. Now, Potter on the field, he has his downfalls. He has his things that he needs to work on. Many of it is, in the communication and the body language and the second half type of influence and the changes that he makes to impact the game. So it's a lot of next level type of problems. When you're a manager, it's the stuff that you're getting paid for. So I mean, he's made a change. He's made a change. We were a back three team. We play back four now. Nobody acknowledges that he's completely changed the structure of the team now. We're buying the personalities to fit into the squad. We all wanted a back four. We wanted a midfielder who could create. We got the players. We're getting the players. We're getting the pieces. And if you look at the new players, that have come in, beside not the summer window, I believe the summer window was still. I don't know. It was just a funny window, but going forward from the summer, the new players that we've got in, they're performing. They're showing potential. And Potter's been the manager. So Potter right now is in a situation where he's just dealing with a bunch of different people from different squads, from different managers.
AJ, don't forget in the summer Tuchel said we didn't need any midfielders, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't pick up no midfielders. We've needed a midfielder for like 3 years. That's why we were linked with Chouameni last year. So, and then I don't understand why we didn't get a midfield. We didn't get him. Why didn't we get a midfielder this year? So we've been playing catch up, and Potter's just dealing with that, and so it's everybody. There's not one single problem. If you remove Potter out of the situation right now and you insert another manager, how much better do you think it's going to get at this moment in February 23? You have to give this process time. I know 6 months to some people, that's a long time, but that's nothing. How many games has Potter been the manager? Has he managed 30 games for Chelsea? what the situation is still early. It's still a newborn type of situation. I understand, like, we want to beat Chelsea, but at this point, we haven't been in the title race since the season started.
We were never in a position to be.
We were never in the title race, right? It was always a top 4 scrap. And looking at the teams around us, we didn't expect Arsenal to be Arsenal this year. We didn't expect Man U to have that progression. So we almost were in a top 6 battle from the beginning, and that was with Tuchel. We lost. We tied the second game of the season. So it's been an uphill battle since day one, and people understand that.
It has been.
Do you know what's funny though, Jim? Do you know what's funny though? Like, I see a lot of people in the comments talking about Tuchel, and it's gonna happen because end of the day, Potter got this job because Tuchel lost his job, right? So it is gonna happen, right?
It's always gonna happen. This though, it was always gonna happen. In my opinion.
But last year, if you look at it, right, we were top of the league in December, and then we lost Reece James and we lost Ben Chilwell, and we fell off after that, right? And all these people in the comments, I'm sure they were probably saying at the time, "Oh, look, we've got injuries. That's why we're falling off." But when it comes to Potter, it's forget about the injuries. He has to do a better job because he spent all this money. So make up your mind. Which one is it?
We were in top 4.
Well, let's go. Let's go.
We weren't performing.
Yeah. Let's go to Kelly anyway. Kelly, go on, mate. Go on, because you're about to talk anyway. So let's hear what you
say. It's just I'll start with what Dawn just said right there. That is false equivalence of the highest degree. We were in top 4. We were in top 4. Also, furthermore, I don't like this when we bring up, what's the context of the situation? What was the context when Tuchel got top 4 twice in a row with injuries, sanctions, people coming at, like, no. And I'm not even trying to take up for Tuchel, because if you speak about Potter negatively, they think you're standing Tuchel. Tuchel caused issues too. Tuchel is part of the old regime. We all have agreed that the old regime caused problems with us competing at the highest level. But yet Tuchel still won some trophies under those conditions. So my point is, Potter has been given the holy fucking grail. Excuse my French. You have been given the backing I have never seen in my life. Even Mourinho's backing, year 1 Roman coming in, wasn't like this. It was not.
Yeah, it was.
No. Couch.
With the inflation, it's not.
It is very similar.
I know the appreciation. I've compared it. I've seen it.
Well,
by the amount of money, this is not comparable.
But that was 3 weeks ago, though. He's just been backed. What do you want him to do in 3 weeks?
I haven't even said what I want him to do. You're getting defensive already. Do you see how this works?
I'm just giving you facts. I'm giving you straight facts.
You're saying you're giving me facts, but I have not yet said anything of what I want or don't want from Potter. That is the definition of defensive. Let me finish.
You're saying that he's been backed. And
yes,
I understand that. I agree with that. But when has he been backed? He just got the players 3 weeks ago. What do you want him to do? That's what I want.
Okay, how about this? We're acting like,
but 300 million was spent in the summertime. Potter was not the manager at that point.
Right. And do you agree? Okay, so talking about backing, right? Because it's interesting when we talk about backing. Let's go ahead. It is like Roman's first year with inflation. Let's go ahead and talk about it like this, right? So you're going to say with backing. So before Potter got backed, it was just acceptable for him to perform at these standards. The excuse was he hasn't been backed, right? Now he's been backed, we're playing just as shit. Now the excuse is going to be give him time. I agree with that. You have to give the manager time. He has to at least be given the season. But all I'm saying is, based on what we're seeing, it looks like by the end of the season, it's not going to improve. Because the issue is the 2 things that Couch said that no one else really seems to pay attention to. The club structure is actually cohesive for Graham Potter to function. But Graham Potter doesn't have that big alpha male energy. He doesn't. He doesn't have the energy to say, you know what? This is my team. I deserve to be here. And I'm going to go out and win with this team. I'm not saying he has to achieve winning something right now. I didn't even say he had to win something next year. But the thing is, we have to show progression. There is 0 progression in this team. People are going to go, the defense has improved. Our defense has always been good. I don't know why we do this. I really don't know why we do this. The reason why our defense was shit in the first 10 games under Potter was because there was no style of play. There was no system. I'm not asking Graham Potter to go out and win the Champions League in 6 months like Tuchel. I'm not asking Graham Potter to go to an FA Cup final like Lampard.
Well, why not?
All I'm
Well, why not?
Huh?
Why not? It's spending 600 million. Why not?
Because it's not me. Cause listen, if I say that, it's problems. Because when you
No,
go,
no,
you
no,
go.
no. Listen. I'm not a Tuchel fan. I called him out. But if he won the Champions League after 6 months, why not Graham Potter win the Champions League after spending 600 million?
Hey, Kassam, you better talk to other people. I've already
I'm
had
talking
the
to you.
conversation.
You made the claim, did you? So,
I already gave you my. I already said what I said. I said long time ago, even before this video, on another live. I already said spending 600 million, spending that amount of money, we should at least be going for top 4. But I already know under this manager we're not. That's why I'm here for the chaos, man. Like I really I have no stress because I know what's coming. I told you everybody at the beginning of the season. I said long effing season ahead. Everybody thought I was talking shit. Everybody was like, look at the Yank, yada, yada, yada. I said, all right. But when I go to Stamford Bridge and we're losing to every team, let's see what you guys think. Now, look what's happening. Potter out, Potter out, Potter out. Hey, man.
My thing is I'm not here saying that I'm Potter in or Potter out. Just like Forward said, that's not really a perspective that I take. I just take all the pieces of the context that's going on within the season, add that up, and say this is probably what's going to happen at this juncture of the season. Now, I understand the point of, oh, why can't Tuchel come in and win the Champions League? If Tuchel does, if that situation happens 9 times out of 10, you're not going to win the Champions League. Tuchel's Champions League, would you say Tuchel could take that team if he came into the team again, the same team, you would strongly believe that we're going to win the Champions League. Like we didn't get lucky, but Tuchel just made that happen. I understand that.
Hold on, really quick, AJ, because I see these things in the chat and it interests me. People are saying Americans are so impatient. Did I not just say to you he doesn't have to win next year? Did I not just say to you that my minimum requirement was him to compete for top 4?
I think
Third of all, what the fuck does that have to do with me being American? Continue.
Guys, I think we're stuck in a position where at the beginning of the season, we knew that time needs to be given. We knew the position that we found ourselves with the new owners coming in, the sanctions. We knew that the squad that we had, the current squad depth that we had, that we needed to empty out quite a lot of it, and we need to also improve it. We also knew that we needed to improve the depth of the squad as well, which is something that we all moan about in terms of improving, and we still need to do to this point today in certain positions, right? We can all agree on that. That's something we need to do. I just think that it's I just think from what I'm seeing from the Potter outers specifically, I'm talking about, and it's not because I'm Potter in, because I'm not. I've explained what I want to see from Potter. I've already said my position on it. But for what I'm seeing with the Potter out specifically is that because we've spent that much money, that the automatic reaction is that we need to start winning things. But what we then forget is that we were moaning 6 months ago that we were in a transition and that we needed to clean the squad out, that we needed to allow a manager a time to build chemistry, that needs to do this, that needs to do that. So for me, it's what do we want? Because we're still in the same season of when we said what we said about transition and giving time.
Can I answer that? Can I answer that one?
We're in the
no,
same.
wait. Before that, let me, because chat's being. Look, to the chat that's going, oh, we've only spent 300 million for Potter in January. Once again, what did I say that's insane? What did I say that's insane? What is saying that we should eventually compete for top 4? How is that ludicrous? We have demanded that for other managers who have spent less.
No, but you can have expectations of wanting top 4. I've always said all season, I expect us to get top 4. This was even before we got the money.
Jem. I'm not even talking about this season. I'm talking about next season, Jem. What is wrong with saying next season we should be getting top 4?
I don't think people's complaining that you're saying that.
Why this argument exists specifically is because we've taken on a manager that is that we're all in the unknown with. That's why this lives now. And this is why people are feeling the way they feel, because there's nothing that you can use in his history to say that he's done A, B, C, and D, other than he was at Brighton. And, he managed to manage a team at a later stage. I mean, it wasn't even start. When he got there, it didn't work at the beginning. It took him a bit of time to build it to where he got it with Brighton for it started ticking. We're using the fact that because he hasn't got any background behind him or resume behind him, and because of the unknown, that this is why it's not going to work, because there isn't nothing to prove it. That's the argument for people that you know that are Potter out. This super chat basically says, how about stop complaining so much and give Potter the preseason and next season? This fan base is spoiled. Sack him, bring someone else, same circle. That's how to Kelly Barnes feels on it. Thank you for the donation as well on this. I want to quickly get what Kazim's got to say. Go on, Kazim. What do you want to say, mate?
Right, it's two things as well. I want to answer your question about the Potter out, 600 million. And I want to answer.
But before you do, man, that jacket is saucy, bro. What's going on?
No, there's no jacket, man. I just got up, man. I just got up, and that's my robe, man.
Jacket, shirt, no glasses, man. I see.
Big up to you, Couch, man. Are you good, Couch? I hope you got any family.
I'm good, man. I'm good, man.
Now, first of all, listen. Automatically, when you spend 600 million, you got to go win the league. I'm telling you now. You can laugh, bro, because I'm addressing your point actually about the chat. Actually,
no, I
listen.
Let him
I let everyone speak.
Yeah, let him talk.
Just
let him talk.
Relax, guys. Relax. Okay. First of all, bro, when you say he spent 600 million, I'm addressing you now, and I'm gonna come back. I go back to Jim. 600 million top four. That's really not a great idea. 600 million, you got to go win the league. Right? That's point number one. Saying challenging top four, that's really not great news. Go back to Jim about Potter out, right? It's all about the 600 million, blah, blah, blah. This. Listen, bro, when you look at Jim, when you look at Potter, I looked at him, right? And I did give him time, maybe 2-3 months. Okay?
Yeah.
And if a manager, and I heard a lot of Chelsea fans saying is a lot of injuries, they're losing a lot of players like Kanté. Listen, top manager, it works whatever he's got. If he's not doing a good job with a player, he's got to go. Because if Kanté's back and everybody back, so that means he relies on individual brilliance. This player to make something happen for him. So that means he's not a top manager. That's why he's got to go. You get what I'm saying? So that injury, I don't want to hear that. He's got.
But it is a context, though. That's got context to a degree. We can't say. Let's use it like this, Kazim.
Yeah.
If Arsenal had the same amount of injuries as Chelsea, would they be top of the league?
Say that again.
If Arsenal had the same amount of injuries as Chelsea this season, would they be top of the league?
I cannot answer. I'm not sure about that. Am I? I'm not sure.
I can answer.
For sure wouldn't be.
Wait. Just let me speak for a bit, guys. Listen, I heard everyone, and after that, I'm just gonna leave it to you all, right? Listen. First of all, Arsenal should be top of the league. I think the rest of the team in the Premier League, including Man City, not been playing great. Man United, inconsistent. Tottenham, same. Chelsea and Liverpool, the rest, guys. So the reason the top of the league, I believe strongly, because the rest is really crap. Okay, and I still believe they're not going to win the league. I still believe. I said it from day one. City's still going to go and win the league, right? So if a manager cannot get the best of the players he's got, he's not good enough, bro. So if to me he's got to summer, but I'm not going from pre-season next August when the Premier League start again and give him another chance, bro. I'm not gonna see this again. I will never ever want to see that again, bro. Right? So this guy, right? It just football is got to admit is a mistake. He sacked Tuchel.
So Kazim, what will it take for you to see from now to the end of the season for you to keep him in the job?
That's a good question, Couch. That's a very good question. Right. That's a good question, and that's a great question. Matter of fact, actually, listen. When Conte came, he made Alonso and Victor Moses, right, world beaters. I want to see Graham Potter work with an average. Huh? Sorry.
No, respect for you calling that out, because a lot of people forget about Victor Moses and Alonso.
Victor Moses and Alonso, bro. It makes them win in the league, bro. They were the best in the position that time, right? My bottom today, I want to see Graham Potter doing this, Couch. And if he's not, listen, you cannot make Kanté or Alonso this world beater, because he's already a world beater, right? I want to see an average normal player make them a world, improve the players, normal players. And I said, I tell you what, this manager need time because it's somewhat special about that manager, right? But listen, bro, I'm not being funny or anything. He's got the fund, he's got the time since the World Cup, and we just the result is bad. And I tell you what, it's gonna get worse. The way
So,
Chelsea,
Kazim,
So do you think it's going to get worse, or do you think it's going to get worse to get better with him? Do you think?
no,
time-
no, I will not get better. Yeah, it will not better
Let me
because
ask
one of
Kazim,
the
let me
lads
ask you
here
this.
mentioned the midfielder. When he said, "Oh, he came in, we never had a midfielder," blah blah blah. But listen, you spent it money. Why didn't he go get a midfielder next to Enzo Fernandez?
Kazim, let me ask you this, because you obviously wanted Thomas Tuchel out. I remember these
Yeah.
discussions. You weren't happy with him, right? And then obviously we brought back when we brought Graham Potter in, which I can't remember how you felt about it at the time. Was you happy with the appointment of Graham Potter
No,
for Tuchel? He wasn't. No. So
no, I wanted, you know, I wanted Brandon Roger.
Yeah.
Oh
I
Lord.
wanted a Brandon Roger. You can laugh as much as you want. Show your face, bro, and you can laugh.
Nah, this
I
is
know
this is
you
the
can
first
laugh,
time
bro.
I've heard
You can
him
laugh, bro.
say this.
You come out and tell me who did you want, and let's work it. Let's discuss it.
Not Brendan Rodgers, that's for sure.
Oh, who did you want?
Yeah, Alex.
Who did you want? Who did you want? Who did you want?
Not Brendan Rodgers.
Who did you want?
I can't remember at the time who I wanted.
Okay, fair enough.
That's a
So
cop out.
I wanted Brendan Roger.
Wait.
I liked Emery as well. I liked Emery. I think Emery is a top manager as well.
Are these actually top quality managers that you're all talking about here? Brendan Rodgers, Emery. Do you think they're managers that could come to Chelsea and actually do things?
All right.
I mean, Potter did. So I mean, any of those guys could come to Chelsea if Potter did. Let's just be real.
I know,
Let's
but
just
we're,
be real.
like you said, we're moaning about the levels of quality of manager that's here, and we're already moaning, and that's the argument, is that Potter's just not it. But then we're talking about Brendan
Oh,
Rodgers.
Jem, there was a
What I'm trying to understand is, what is the level here? Where are we going? Because if we're moaning about having managers that succeed and have a resume, they don't really have one. I mean, Emery, okay, to a degree, but they don't really, do they? Other than
This
Emery.
fan base would have
Someone
never
said this
accepted
man would
Unai
fire
Emery.
God. That's too funny, man.
let me ask Kazim a question. Kazim, you say we spent 600 million. Graham Potter gotta go. He's not good enough. We should be winning the title top 4. Okay. Say we sack Graham Potter, right? And we hire whoever you want to hire, and they don't win the title. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, if you want to, that's a good question again.
Is it then a problem with the squad, or is it then a problem with?
No,
the
wait,
manager?
Jim, don't let me.
You know.
Or is it more a problem with the
I want to hear what you want to say.
Nah, yeah, let him take his time to think and answer.
Yeah, don't because you want to hide. Okay, you put the expectation. So you're basically laying the line down. 600 million. The next manager has to win the title, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you said. Okay, so now we're not winning the title this year. What if they don't win the title next year? What are you gonna
do? No, listen, bro. Listen.
No, just answer that. Yeah, okay.
I'm about to answer.
Okay,
I'm about to answer. Okay, first of all, it's a lot of ifs and buts, isn't it? Okay. Was any manager? I'm giving you the answer, right? You're asking the question, so let me answer, right? Was 600 million? Was any manager? I'm making a claim here, right? Clear as a crystal. Was any manager should be winning the league?
See, I think there's context.
No, that's my standard. That's my yardstick, bro.
This isn't 600 million being spent with Rudiger, there, with Christensen there, with all of these guys that we lost.
Yeah,
Like,
I was about to say, there's context to this, because it's not
It's
like
not
we've
even-
Can I come in after he's finished, please?
it's
not
not
even
like we've done
600
the, it's not like we've done the Galacticos and gone and bought all the best players in the world and put them in the team.
Bro,
Right.
bro, you spend 100 million each in each player. They should be the best, the top quality. 100 million each.
you
That's
also need
100 million
right?
normal nowadays?
Hazim, you've also said yourself to me many times that you want a goalie, you want a centre back, and you want a midfielder, and we've already spent this money. So if we haven't got them things, how are we then going on and winning?
Well, listen, no. You're telling me the details. You know that we in order for us to win the league, okay? Listen, he's now Todd Bowley spent 600 million. He spent him rightly or wrongly. That's not my issue, right? He spent the 600 million, but the squad is not good enough still, because, as I said to you, we still need a world-class goalkeeper. We need a world-class centre back.
Yeah,
and we need a meeting. I mentioned it for a striker, and we need a DM next to Enzo Fernandez, right? So, and after that, you got to go win the league. Simple.
But that's still a lot of spending left to be done. Though,
Still a lot of spending.
Yeah, but that's why, because they done it wrong in the first place, crowd. That's my point.
Yeah, that's on the
without
owners
question,
though.
the
That's not even on
Yeah,
Tuchel
that's my
or
point.
Potter. That's on the
The summer
owners.
spend wasn't. You know what the funny thing is? Like we blame the owners and whatnot. Like the summer spend was done to appease Tuchel. Like we lost a lot of players in the summer, and we
But
had
Couch,
to
they
basically
never got
hold
his
on a
first
second.
choices either.
Hold on a second, okay? Just let me finish, okay? It's not about getting first or second choice. They got the players to come in because we had a very short amount of time. Don't forget these guys took over the club in May, and then the window opened in June, right? And then on top of that, you restructured the entire staff, the entire board, right? So it wasn't like you were going to hit the ground running anyways. They were basically just putting band-aids over bullet wounds. Everyone was very happy with Koulibaly coming in, and anyone that says that they weren't is a liar, right? Everyone was.
I wanted Koulibaly.
No, nothing but
and Sterling as well. I know a lot of people that were very happy with Sterling coming. So was I. Tons of people wanted Cucurella. He wanted to go to Man City. Like the money was crazy, but like everyone was fine with Cucurella.
Right.
So don't cry about like the summer spend now when they met the objectives the club wanted at the time. We all wanted those players. So yeah, it's not working out.
Right Couch, you got Sterling, Couch, and you got Koulibaly. Is the manager good enough to get the best of them? That's my point I'm trying to make, right? Because when you look at Koulibaly, right, I think Koulibaly is a very, very good player. Senegalese international, as a captain. He's got the leadership, right? And Sterling won the Premier League with Man City, right? Huge experience for a young guy. Okay, 27 years old. Is the manager good enough to get?
Wait,
listen, you cannot
Jem
teach Sterling how to win the league because he won the league about 4 times. Right?
I just think right now what we're talking about is we have to have context around all this stuff, right?
No, but do you get my point I'm trying to make as well? That is a perfect example about Koulibaly and Raheem Sterling. Because Raheem Sterling
a perfect example though, because how do you expect Sterling to do anything without a midfield? How do you expect him to do anything without any creativity?
No, but all right. So the manager, my guy here. Sorry, what's your name, my guy? I didn't know.
Don.
Yeah, Don. Perfect example here, Don. When it comes to summertime with transfer window in January, Graham Potter say, all right, well, I've got a Premier League winner 4 times. He's lacking midfielder, so we should got Enzo Fernandez. And I need somebody else. What about Modric? Todd Bowley speak to him. What about Modric? Said, he can leave Modric a bit because I think midfield is priority. But what he done is, it looks clearly to me, bro, Todd Bowley doing the signing, right? Because if Raheem Sterling and the players playing in the front, lacking midfielder next to Enzo Fernandez, right? Because Kante's out. So, and they go Modric for 100 million, right? I'm not saying it's bad signing. That means the manager is not doing his job properly.
No, but we're also lacking chemistry with the forward line, Kazim. And we can let's not argue before Sterling came, or even when he did come. I even said so many times that Sterling's not enough in this because.
I agree.
Yeah, let me give you a perfect example, bro. Yeah. So
let me just read the super chat. Daniel said in the super chat that the Premier League is more competitive than it's ever been. We are playing catch up, is what he's feeling, isn't that? Thank you for the donation, bro. Go on, Don. What you going to say?
Absolutely true.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like so growing up, I played football for my borough, like district, for Newham, right? And we got to the final of the London Cup, right? And then what happened when we got to the final was all the academy boys that played for Charlton, Norwich, West Ham, they all got told to come and play in the final. We lost that game 4-1, and these are players that were in the academy. And when you looked at us playing that game, we just did not look like a team that has played before. There was no chemistry, and there was no doubt. It was clear to see how we lost that game because we literally had no chemistry, even though we had the ability on that pitch. And it's the same thing with Chelsea at the moment. Like, you're not going to get results straight away, even though you've got quality on the pitch. They still need to gel. They still need to build that chemistry. So you just have to give it. You have to give it a little bit more time, bro.
Yeah, don't. I'm not disputing that, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But listen. Do you have the right personnel? First of all, did you sign?
It's hard to say. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to
say. But what can identify coaches? The signing, we still need crucial signing. That means
we do.
We still need a lot of money.
Yeah. My real quick thing of the signing specifically that we did in January is that I've always stressed that I think we need direct dribblers. We go and get Madueke and we go and get Mudryk. These are 2 direct dribblers that I think will hopefully in the long term will benefit from, because I think that will they will offer a creativity that we've not had in a while. I don't think Ziyech does it. Don't think Pulisic does it enough, and the others. They're not dribblers. They're just guys that move around the ball and try and go to ball and things like. So I've always felt we've needed that type of profile. So I think they've done well there with that. Enzo Fernandez, you already know. I ain't going to explain it. I've said what I think of Enzo Fernandez.
I think Felix is amazing.
Felix is a good Felix. Yeah, Felix is another one. You know, he's playing in a 10 role. He looks good. The question was Felix.
I love it, Jem. I love that you're coming around now, bro. That's
I'm still. What did he say? What did he want to feel it?
He was not feeling him.
No. Never. Come on, Jim.
No. I'm still.
You're tripping, Jim.
I'm still waiting.
We need to build around him, 100%.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Felix is a baller, bro.
I like it. Listen, from what I've seen of him at West Ham, good. Don't get me wrong. With him again, for me, like all of the others, it's just the sustainability and, you know, can he be consistent in the system in the long term, you know, and that's going to be down to what we put around him.
It's Felix's honeymoon period, man. That's why.
And also on top of that, we've got to spend the money to bring him to us anyway, and that's not going to be cheap. So are we going to do that? We'll find out. I think it's going to depend on how he does his next couple of months. But, you know, João Felix is another one. Yeah, good in terms of quality as well. I don't think they've done specifically bad with the profiles that they've brought in. I just think that we're still a little bit short in certain positions. I think Malo Gusto and Nkunku is a massive tick in terms of positional wise. I think right back to Reece James is good. I think people saying that this thing of we got João Felix, why did we get Nkunku's rubbish? I'm telling you now, like both players can coexist from what I'm seeing, especially what I've seen in Nkunku as well.
Still need a DM.
But we know what we need. We need a DM. I still think we need a goalie. I agree with Kazim. I think we need an actual
striker.
We
definitely need a striker.
And a striker is maybe someone. I think Nkunku will do that. I do think if you create enough for him, he'll put it in the back of the net.
No. I have this question. I have this question for the mid panelists, right? Like specifically because I want to know your opinions based on what you were talking about earlier. We're gonna start with Alex because I haven't heard Alex. And then we're going to go up from AJ to Couch because I need to ask you guys something. By when does Potter need to display a style of play? And how long before it's gone too long?
You said Alex first?
When to surfer, please, por favor.
So let Andrew. It's Andrew.
Yeah.
Alex, Andrew.
Sorry, no, Andrew.
Andrew, my bad.
No, just before, Kasim said that you should get the best out of Koulibaly. Would you then credit him for getting the best out of Badiashile then?
Say that again, sorry, mate.
You said he needs to get the best out of Koulibaly, but then would you then credit him for getting the best out of Badiashile?
Seriously, Andrew, I've been serious, bro. The guy just
signed
it.
Me. You said it, bro. Not me. You said it. You said he should get the best
I'm answering you now. The guy just signed in. Which best of what?
No. Kasim, you said it, and remember, he didn't buy Koulibaly, so it's not 600 million he spent. He wasn't here for transfer, but you said he should get the best out of Koulibaly. Would you then credit him for getting the best out of Badiashile?
That's I'm answering exactly specifically this point. What did he get the best? Badiashile just signed.
Is it yes or no?
I don't know what you mean, bro.
What do you mean?
Badiashile already just signed in.
The thing is, though,
he just signed in, bro. What do you mean? Did he work with him? Did you work with him?
You said he should get the best out of Koulibaly, right? He should be getting the best out of Koulibaly. Okay. So he's working now with Badiashile. Would you credit him for getting the best out of Badiashile?
That's why I'm disagreeing with you. That's why I'm disagreeing. Don't tell me I'm answering the question.
Would you give him credit for getting the best out of the other players rather than
long enough
criticizing him?
You have to be specific because what Andrew's saying to me, I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense, right? Because Badiashile just signed in.
It's not a hard thing to say because you said he should get the best out of Koulibaly.
Well, I tell you what. I give him credit for Badiashile. If you want me to say yes, because the guy just signed in.
Yes or no. If you want to say no,
it's
just yes or no. That's all.
Andrew, you wanna answer me about this style of play, though?
So let's move. Okay, so I'm thinking November, December time next year. If we are a certain number of points off of even a top four, then and I'm not seeing any improvements or anything like that. That I'm more than happy to be like, okay, he's not doing anything or he's not the right man for the job. We should be seeing something over a year into a job. right? We should be seeing something consistency-wise, playing-wise, people getting better. Yeah, so we should see that, because what's going to be an excuse then? Because we're going to go again in summer, right? Like Kasim wanted. I agree with Kasim. For me, number one priority in the summer is a goalkeeper, even more than a striker. For me, a goalkeeper
Inshallah.
is the number one for me, because neither the two we have now, if you put them together, they barely make a decent goalkeeper, let alone a good one. But you know, I would do. It's the same with new signings. I didn't turn on. Jem knows this. I didn't turn on Werner for nearly 18 months nearly 18 months, right? Jem, you know me. I didn't turn on Werner until I
Timo's
tried.
lawyer.
I really tried, but I just think the fan base is funny. I love the team. I didn't mean to love it, but Kasim, could you imagine if we had hired Unai Emery or Rodgers, what the reaction of this fan base would be if we got them? It'd be instead of Potter, what their reaction would be. You would have seen explosions on the Chelsea timeline, and maybe we shouldn't really take their.
Why are you saying this, Andrew? Why? Explain to me.
What I'm saying is, could you imagine the reaction of getting Rodgers and Unai Emery in? This fan base would not accept them from day one. They would not accept them from day one. I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you why. With Rodgers, for me, well, when I see people's opinions on him, they always perceive him to be a bottler, right?
That's right. I heard that people saying.
Definitely is.
Also, maybe he doesn't really coach defending that much, right? Even though recently I think Leicester's been quite good defensive. Unai Emery, I think that people just misjudge him on his time at Arsenal. I think they don't look at his European record, for example, or something like that, and what he does there, which is pretty good, and what he started at Aston Villa. But going back to the original point, I don't know what this fan base is so funny, because every new manager we get in, everyone will realise this. What's the first thing you hear from every fan? He's got to be given time. Yeah, we want real time with this manager. He's got to give him time to do it. Yeah, we don't want to fire the managers. We've got to give him time. But he must win.
Moments later.
He must win right away. He must do this right away.
Yeah, but Andrew, to me, Andrew, I just want to see the basic, right? I want to see the. Yeah, it's not about the winning, because. Yeah, come on.
I agree. Someone said it before, fighting for it. Fighting for it. I think Couch said fighting for it. I know what he means by this. I've said it before. This is the most secure Chelsea manager in the past 25 years. Okay, the most secure Chelsea manager in his position. He's got backing by the board. He's been chosen by a long-term deal. He's got players in. Okay, have the biggest pair of bollocks you've ever got, right? And walk into that dressing room and literally go, I'm here because you lot have failed, and I've got backing from them. They want to get rid of you before me.
Exactly. That's the problem, though. That's not his personality type.
He should proceed to. I'm not asking him to be Prime Mourinho. I'm not asking him to do that, because you can't do that. But
I've said that.
Come across.
Yeah, but Couch, you don't need the
criticize. Hang on. You can criticize your players without criticizing them in public, right? It's okay to come out and say, "Do you know what? This isn't good enough. We need to be better." I don't like that sometimes. I did at the beginning of the show when I was talking about what I'm not really. To me, press conferences before the game, I don't like. It's the interviews after the game that I'm more interested in, because obviously what's happening.
Yeah, but Andrew, let me just say something to that, right? If a manager's winning on the pitch, do we give a fuck about the press conferences?
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
That's the problem, right?
I think we do. I think we do. Because you're forgetting Mauricio Sarri was the most boring manager on and off the pitch. He still won. He won, and people still hated him because he was just so boring. He didn't speak to the culture of the club. That's what I'm talking about. You have to remember that.
I do agree with everyone here.
Maurizio Sarri did not speak to the culture of the club in terms of like how the proper Chelsea or the year.
He's not proper Chelsea. Exactly.
I like Maurizio Sarri, but I know that within the fan base, there were a lot of people that did not like this guy, and he won.
Bro, the same fan base.
They were so used to seeing successful managers that had a bit of an ego and have been successful at Chelsea. And that's all it is, because we've been built over the years to have managers that are successful with that ego. And that's what we think is the way you win.
But if you remember that season, if you remember that season, right? It was all going fine for Sarri up until we lost against Spurs, right? And then there was a few little mixed results in between then and there, right? If you remember, we lost at Spurs. And then it was like, it just turned. It was
the 6-0 against City.
And then, and then it's a 6-0 followed by 10 days later 4-0 to Bournemouth. Yeah. And then that performance at Cardiff as well, when the fans were, so I remember speaking there saying "fuck off, sorry" or
Fuck
something
off, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Bournemouth-
just didn't. It
Bournemouth-
just
No,
didn't.
they
it
were
just didn't
chanting
make
"fuck
it-
sorry ball, fuck
Yeah,
sorry
yeah,
ball."
whatever it was, but
People hate it.
Unfortunately, we've had
Wait.
fortunately we've had 20 years of goodish ownership, right, in terms of what
Yeah.
we've won and everything like that. But what it's done is it's built up this hiring and firing thing because we're so used. Because we all know,
We're built
first
like
of all,
it.
I don't think Roman would have ever hired Potter to begin with, right? I don't think he would have
100%.
ever done that, right?
No.
But if he did, he would have let him go by now. We all know that, right? And that's the problem. I think Chelsea fans
Are built.
it's hard.
in
It's
that
hard
way.
for people to change,
Yeah.
right? When it's built in for 20 years, yeah, it's hard, yeah. But I think you have to realize that by the hiring of Potter, we should know that they are looking for a longer term project, right? They're looking for the longer term.
We all
not
said
short
that
term.
6 months ago.
Andrew, let me address that point quickly. Andrew,
I just think-
Andrew, I'm
do you
looking.
know what the fan base needs to know, right? Standards and expectations are two very different things. You should not intertwine the meaning
Exactly.
of both. Expectations, you could drop your expectations, but you can't drop your standards. They're two very different things, even though people do love to
But I
mix
think-
them
I
up.
just,
I
read,
think-
can I just read this super chat 2 seconds?
Yeah,
It's been
sorry,
sitting
mate.
for ages. Bud with a donation says, I've never wanted Cuckoo. He's awful. So many better left backs. He plays negative football, never overlaps, just passes back. Like I said before on this channel. Bud, at Brighton, he done a lot of all of that.
That's
why
just
we-
that just screams you never watched him last
Yeah, I was
season.
about to say, man.
That's it.
Stop chatting, man.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's true.
Andrew, I want to address a point about Andrew just made now. Andrew, I'm looking for the right foundation before you build the house. You have to have the right foundation. My point I'm trying to make here, first of all, have an owner is clueless about football, right? Point number one. Point number two, he decided to get a manager, right? I don't have a problem with get a manager with a project. I don't like to use that word because it's an Arsenal word. Project 2-3 years, but it's got to be the right profile. That's my point I'm trying to make. Okay. Yeah.
No,
So if you go out there, if the man listen, because as I said it before, and I will say again, the owner decided to go with Thomas Tuchel by signing the profiles of Koulibaly 33, Aubameyang, and after that he completely changed to January to go for young players. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you're gonna go for players worth 100 million each, you have to have the right profile to manage this player because these players they're not cheap. So the issue with Graham Potter, right? It's not about it's a long-term black. You have to have the right man in the position.
But let me say this to you, right?
Go ahead.
I think my theory is this: if the structure was put in before Potter was before we got Potter, I don't think Vivell and that would have suggested hiring Potter whatsoever, right? I think if when Potter goes, if he goes, I think they're going to take advice from that structure by Christian Vivell leading it, right? And it's not there. That's going to be where the manager's suggestion coming along. I believe that this structure that's put in, headed by Vivell, is the reason we've done a 180 on the profiles. We've gone from the summer to January. It's totally them. It's not like Todd Bowley and stuff like that. They might negotiate the deals and something like that, but the profiles we're going after is because it's the team led by Vivell and Winstanley and stuff like that. I believe that if the time comes where Potter goes or is sacked, they will take advice. Christian Vivell will have one target or a couple of targets that are maybe different.
100%.
Remember that weird report of that Frankfurt manager that came out like a couple of months ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. That's what I'm talking about. It won't be a Luis Enrique or a Zidane or something like that. I just don't believe it will be because I just don't believe that's the type they go for. That's all.
I think they're looking for a longevity manager, and I think that's something that we need to actually be, and I think mentally prepared for. And I don't think some of us fans are, and I think time will be given. And it's not that I think.
Well, you, Jim, is it Graham Potter the man? Is it long?
No, I don't. It's not that I think Graham Potter's the man because I've already.
No,
said
what do you think? What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Still. I'm not sure. When I say
for me, right? I'm certain that if Potter's not working out, like I said, next season he will be sacked. But like I've said, the trophies that we've won have just been hiding all these cracks that we've had. And again, if we got top 4 again, right, it would have been the same thing. These players would have stayed, and it would have been the same thing. We've needed this season of being exposed to see that this needed to be gutted completely. And I'm happy about that. I'm honest. I'm happy about that. I'm not happy with what's happening right now in terms of results, but long term, it will build success.
What he needs to do is problem solve for me. That's the thing. And what I'm watching him mainly on is what he's doing on the pitch. Not specifically too much off the pitch with the press conferences. It's what he's doing on the pitch. How is he affecting the game? How is he getting the best out of the team? How are we seeing the style of football that he wants to play moving forward? Are we, can we get ourselves out of sticky periods after a team, an opposition works out that Kukurea is a weakness and there's now for 20 minutes run down that wing and dominated us like they did against West Ham? Can he make a serious decision to switch it up? I'm more focused on what he's doing on the pitch and how he manages the players, how he implements his styles, how he gets the best out of the players, and how he works out what his best 11 is in terms of chemistry. These are all things that I think are still too early. But what I saw when I went to West Ham and I was at the West Ham game, what I saw wasn't good, and I wasn't impressed with him.
But wait,
but that doesn't mean I don't like him as a manager. It doesn't mean that I think he's now out. And I don't think
people are picking and choosing what to listen to, right? Because Matty's in the comments saying we've got a loser mentality. How are we happy with 10th? I literally just said I'm not happy with the results, but I'm happy that this club has been exposed, because what I've been saying for a while is that these players are not good enough. That's what I'm happy about. The fact that all these injuries happen again is unfortunate, but on the plus side, it's meant that we've gone out and had to rebuild literally in 6 months. Is the point that I'm making. I'm not happy with these results.
You didn't like that first 20 minutes of West Ham? You didn't like that first 20 minutes? You didn't like how that was flowing?
What does 20 minutes matter when we draw 1-1 to West Ham?
20 minutes. It's about the sustainability and control. What I'm saying is he doesn't problem solve. What he actually did in the second half. What he actually did in the second half is actually regress us. Because the decisions substitutions.
Thank you, Jem.
I know. But you say it's a progress, right? Callie, you say you want to see a style of play.
I don't see progress when in the second half you destroy all the good you've done in the first half. How is that progress?
Listen to what I'm saying, bro. It's a progression. We've seen that the first 20 minutes, that's what he wants from the team, that type of football. Now, agree with you and Jem, which was my point, that I need to see Graham Potter impact the game now and continue to implement that style on a consistent level. That's what I said. But you're asking about the style of play. We've seen what Graham Potter wants to do. He wants to play a 4-2-3-1 with some type of fluid football. They have a certain. Exactly. So it's like give him some time to implement that. Give the team some time to learn the pattern. Give the team some time.
You're talking
just quickly.
You're addressing the wrong person. I already told you I'm giving what Andrew said is exactly how I feel.
Just 1 second. This is just again, and I'm still not. We're getting an echo from somewhere. I'm still not completely one way or the other, but this argument that he needs time and whatnot is kind of a little bit wishy-washy for me, because it doesn't take time to it doesn't take this long to implement your tactics, right? Regardless of whether or not you have the players, we have to see a style of play, right? So he's had since September. He had the break in September with the Queen dying, 2 weeks there to try and implement a style of play. We played all right. He's had the Christmas break, or sorry, not the Christmas break, but the World Cup break. To integrate some sort of a style of play. He's had 2 weeks before the what was after the no, there was a 2 week break just recently, like where we didn't play.
In January. It was in January.
So when are we gonna see a style of play like that? I don't care about the player.
That's what I was saying.
You haven't seen a progression of style over the last 2 games, Couch?
Hold on, wait. And
if that's the one real big thing I always say on this show, every time I come on here, the one thing that annoys me the most is that we have no game plan and we have no style of play. Sometimes I actually don't know what they do in training.
I guess we view style of play differently because I clearly see what Graham Potter is trying to do, but I see the inconsistencies and then where we fall back into bad habits. But in terms of identifying,
when you identify style of play, you only identify it as when we do something good. So for the first 15 minutes, that's the style of play. But then the last 75 minutes, that's not the style.
No, but I'm saying
but when I said that, I'm the American.
No, we're trying to drag it forward through the whole 90 minutes. But I see what we're trying to do, but it's not happening throughout the whole 90 minutes. That's what I'm saying.
So what are we trying to do?
Well,
Maybe that's where we need
Yo,
to.
shout out the guy in the comments. He said this is
But-
Azkaban style to play, bro.
Right, go AM with this super chat. Says Bowley got caught hanging on Twitter Spaces, and y'all thinking you really seeing Potter out trending every game and say that's life, is what Go AM saying. Pick up to Go AM with the donation. I've actually meant to leave now because I've got a meeting at 5.
What?
And Nomadic.
We're just
No,
getting
no,
started
no.
here, man. Nomadic's here, bro.
No, it's 2 hours in. 2 hours in as well. Nomadic turns
Hey,
up.
yo, we
last
need a
minute,
part 2 to this.
and I put the link in
Oh,
there
we
as
need
well.
Matty here. If Nomadic's here, we need Matty here.
Real
ASAP.
ballers see what's going on. Guys.
Yo,
Nomadic-
Nomadic is here right
What's
now.
really going on?
Guys,
Don,
Nomadic,
What did I
Nomadic,
do
and Maddie.
now?
One
One
Like,
second,
I'm
guys.
very innocent. What did I do?
Nomadic, what I'm going to say
You
is,
know what
yeah,
you did.
if you've got something to say that you want to say, I'll give you a couple of minutes. So
Yeah,
let
you
it
need your
out
chance to start
and
swearing
speak.
at people and stuff,
Yeah,
bro.
speak.
Yo, Nomadic, you remember the agreement. Start the chaos. You don't have much time.
No, I'm sorry, guys. I had a busy day, so I just go home. But I've been listening to you guys, and I sort of understand the people who want like Potter out. I actually do. When you've grown up under Roman, and he was very ruthless and cutthroat, and it was all instant success, and that's what you've known. And now we're like 2 wins in a run of 13 games. So I'm not surprised that some of you want Potter out, right?
Yeah.
You have no emotional attachments to him. He's not giving you anything in the press conferences. You're not winning games. And Bolly and Co have spent a lot of money. I get it. But I think I just have a more higher tolerance for what we're trying to do than the normal person. And I have seen, and Jem would say this, I like what Don was saying, I was listening in the background. We needed this off season for I think majority of the fan base to realize that this squad was shit. I was shouting every time that this squad was badly built, but everyone just said we're a DM and a striker away from winning everything.
Yeah.
Literally, everyone is complaining about standards, and we've been the most successful English team. Roman owned us for 20 years. In 20 years, and the resources that Roman gave us, we literally just won 5 Premier Leagues. Just 5. Even when Man City, let's say the fuckery that they've been caught in, and let's say the PL decides to take away all their Premier League titles from 09, we're not getting none of them. We didn't come second in none of those 5, 6 leagues that they won. We didn't even come
point.
second. Can you guys deep
Yeah,
that?
we just get
point.
one league.
That's
We
embarrassing.
All they want,
didn't
all they
come
want is
second.
FA Cups and Carabao Cups and the odd Champions League here and there and an odd Premier League here and
Oh,
there. No, I'm done with
shit.
that. I'm done with that, man.
Like, guys, like this, is it called a decade? Like, since 2010 to now, we've literally just won 2 Premier League titles.
Yeah,
I
we
think
failed.
13,
We failed
14.
domestically. Yeah, we failed domestically. I've said this
13,
for a very long time.
and then
Yeah.
apart from that, apart from Tuchel's run for us in the UCL, when was the last time we even got to a semi-final? I think it was Mourinho's season when Courtois and
13,
Courtois
14.
Costa.
13, 14. 13,
And we
Yeah.
were
14,
dumped out by
Madrid.
Atletico, right? And then we went and got Costa. Can
Yeah.
you believe in 10 years we never even got to semi-finals? The thing is, I get when you people are angry. I really do. And I'm not trying to troll like you guys when we're like in private. But it's just
Potter
like,
out!
I really want you to I really want you guys to understand. We've been shit for a long time. And as Don said,
Yes.
we've been hiding with
Preach.
the
Thank
odd
you.
Premier League here, FA Cup there, but we have never been consistent. We won 5 Premier League titles in 20 years when only us and United had that type of money. We should have bossed this league. And we let all these other people come in. And then now you're wondering why we're lagging behind. People say, okay, but Potter is not competing. We always finish fourth. What is the point of always finishing fourth? Is there a trophy for that?
No,
You
no, it's
finish
for the
fourth and
money.
then you
No matter,
go
for
get
the money.
dumped out.
For the
I
money, for
get
the money.
that. It's for the
Madden's
money,
getting a lot
right?
of love in the chat.
But tell me, for all the money we've had, what is the after, let's say, the window we bought Fabregas and Costa, what other time have we ever had a successful window with all that money we're getting from the Champions League? When is
Yeah,
the like?
we've never bounced off of it. Well, I don't think we've ever
Not
done.
telling no lies.
Let
And
them know,
apart from
nomadic. Let
and
them
and
know,
apart from
man.
that, this is the fact. Like, people need to realize Roman was not running us like a football club. We were like his pet. This
But even
no
with
one,
that
no
said,
football club apart from, let's say, PSG buys £100 million striker and loans him out the following season for €8 million. In any other team, you get to live with that bad decision. In any other team, and now people are wondering why. Like, tell me what team in the world, let's say apart from a PSG or a City, which are like state owned, any other successful like self-sustaining team, you don't do that. You don't buy £100 million asset and loan it for €8 million the following window.
Jem, I
That's
know,
just
Jem, I know you've got to
bad.
go, yeah. Jem, I know you've got to go, but quick point, right? What I thought of whilst Nomadic was speaking there, right? Like, how Chelsea is right now is, I feel like a lot of these fans would be happy if their dads went away for the whole year, only came to visit on the birthday, and brought all these presents, right? You're gonna be happy with that. Your dad hasn't spoken to you all year, but on your birthday he comes and brings all these presents, and he fucks off again for another year. That's
Better than
literally what
my
Chelsea have
father.
been doing.
Shit.
That's literally what
100%.
Chelsea have been
yeah,
doing.
well,
Chelsea have been
yeah.
winning the odd trophy here and there, but consistency hasn't been there. And that's what we're trying to build now of this long-term project.
No. And that's maybe what the sustainability project is when you look at how much money we spent and even how much youth we brought in. And I always say about the youth, the youngsters that we brought in isn't for the now. They are for the future of this club. And maybe not all of them will get in. But, you know, like at the end of the day, I think the idea is to build a team that can be sustained, an engine that can be sustained. And on top of all of that, Matty's here as well now, quickly, to probably argue Potter out.
Matty, chaos only, bro. We're at the end of the show. Chaos only, brother.
Matty, you going to talk, mate? Or are you going to mute yourself? Let's go.
I prefer not to speak because if I do, I'm always in trouble. So, I prefer not to speak. So, look, what's the point in doing a sustainable business model when you're spending 600 million and not expect a return? I don't, I mean.
No, they're going to get a return, but the return.
When?
Didn't you hear, Matty? We're amortizing all that stuff over time.
Nomadic, wait a sec, Callie. Nomadic just explained that we failed in the league. Would you agree?
Well, we've made top. We've made top four. Isn't that what most world top four?
But more sustainable.
Yeah, but we've made top four in the last 4 seasons, right? So surely you'd want the same thing again. Yeah, okay, that this process needs to happen. I understand that, but couldn't that happen under a world-class manager who could actually build on that?
Who's the world-class manager for you?
Well, Pep's done well with what he's been given, right? Argue or not, argue or not, right? Klopp's done the same, right? But I would rather for me somebody like a Luis Enrique who actually did well with Barcelona, who got the best out of the youth prospects and did well with good signings. Now, for me, I mean,
he fell out with Messi. What do you mean?
He did well, didn't he? He won trophies in Barcelona. I don't see
Messi, Neymar. He had Messi, Neymar, Suarez. Like winning a title is like the bare minimum for that team. They should have been.
MSN tag.
Fernandez on Twitter. That's great. I love that.
How did he do it? Roma and Espanyol.
Yeah. Yeah. What did he do at Roma and Espanyol?
How did he do it there?
Hilarious, Josh.
Cricket.
Yeah, like I don't know if you can like look at his work with Barcelona. I mean, ultimately, a team like that should be a dynasty. Like that should be what you're angling towards, not just a one title here and then you fall off.
Graham Potter would win the league with that squad.
No, he wouldn't. He really wouldn't.
He really wouldn't, though.
He really wouldn't.
He's actually decent for real, though.
Suarez and Neymar, Jesus, you'd think that it'd do a lot of it, wouldn't you? And then Xavi and Iniesta behind him, Jesus. That was a serious team, and that was a team built structurally correct, so that every manager that came in benefited from the structure, not come into a fucking shithouse of 10 different managers mixing up the squads with different players. How about that one?
Matty, I say this to you because I know you're firmly Potter out, and obviously, like Gem, people like that sit in between. But to you who's Potter out, I say this. This division in the fan base between the Potter outs, the Potter ins, the people who want a better manager, the people who say we're dropping our standards, all these things. Is this division only gonna lead to the demise? It's only going to contribute to the very problems we don't want to see. It's the same thing that happened with Sarri, right? When Sarri wasn't getting backed by the fan base, performances started getting worse. I don't even know how we got away with the Europa League. Performances started dropping.
We slept walk through that. Man. We slept.
No, Arsenal disgrace in Baku.
No, I mean
absolute
just generally,
disgrace.
The two times we were in Europa League, we slept through that entire competition.
The one versus Benfica and the one versus Arsenal, but the one versus Arsenal, that's. But my point is,
I think that was just more of a. If that weren't Arsenal, I think we would just done a mediocre game and just won it.
Yeah.
You
but
know what I mean?
That's why
extra tension in Baku.
4-2 in Baku.
Listen. Do I think?
Because we're going to finish off anyway.
Do I think Graham Potter's the going to be long term? I do not. At its current time, I do not think he's going to be long term. And you can bring up Klopp and everything. Klopp's has got the CV and everything like that. But if you want to bring up Klopp, then bring up how much time Liverpool gave him. Do you know what I mean? But then he's got the track record, so you can hit me back with that, and I understand that. But you can't. You can say world-class manager. I have my doubts over Enrique. I really do, because without Barcelona's CV, it's a very mediocre manager CV for me. It just is.
Worse than Potter?
That team should have won at least back-to-back Champions Leagues with that front three, and they didn't at all. They fell away. So his football at Spain is so boring. We saw it in the World Cup. Just the pass sideways, which we might be seeing now eventually, but I just don't rate that. And that's why I think, like I said earlier to you, with Vivell not leading this structure, I think the next manager isn't going to be someone like Enrique. It's going to be probably someone we've not even heard of. It's going to be
great.
Or something like that. Or someone
probably Brendan Rodgers.
Wow.
Anyway, on that note, guys, I have got to shoot. I meant to have a meeting 10 minutes ago, but big up to every single one of you guys. It's been a good debate. We'll bring it back again. Of course we will. We'll bring it back in. If Potter is still here, isn't still here, we will still
Potter out in 18 months.
Potter out in 18 months is what Matty's saying. Forward and Nomadic are saying Potter in for the next 5 years. Kelly's saying he doesn't know. Cap's saying he don't know.
Mediocre football.
Andrew's saying he don't think he's going to make it. Don's he needs to see more and me. Fuck knows. Let's just keep.
Who wants that?
Let's move on.
Smash the likes, people. Smash the likes.
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, guys. We're doing the match preview tomorrow for Dortmund. We have got a Champions League game, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So
if we turn up to it,
match preview. So make sure you guys are available tomorrow, sort of around 1-2 o'clock for that as well. We'll be going through team lineups, talking about the players that are available. What's the best squad lineup? Is Potter going to play certain players? Is Koulibaly going to get back in the team tomorrow, guys? How bad is Sheila?
Undoubtedly.
Big question.
Undoubtedly.
So,
Trevor Chalobah.
We need a miracle.
Forward saying Trevor Chalobah. I agree with him, to be fair. But
we need a miracle.
Wait, one thing we can't forget. This is going to be strange to randomly bring this up, but to anyone that was affected by the Turkey and Syria disaster, I pray for you. I hope that your families are okay. Condolences to anyone who's lost a loved one or a friend, and I wish the best for anyone going through those heartbreaking situations.
I agree. Hard times.
Christian Atsu.
And Christian Atsu and everyone out there that's having a very hard time. There's a lot of support going out there as well to try and help the people out there that are suffering. So, thoughts are with everyone out there. But I'll be back tomorrow. The panel will be back tomorrow, wrapping up the lines as well. Big up to every single one of you guys. See you later. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Potter out.